asks on it.
Like that.
But yeah, I made a few notes.
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. So far, the year in Kane County, I think, is starting out very well. Whether or not it's starting out very well for everybody else in the world, God bless them all. Say prayers for all of that.
Microphone, please.
So clerk, could you please call the roll?
Allen, Bates,
On my way.
Gums,
Morning, Mavis. Give here.
Caius,
Vice President.
Leonard here.
Lewis, Linder,
Linder here.
Paulina,
present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Rathman,
Strathman here.
Sturgis,
Just present.
Pepe,
Seppi here.
Williams, Roth,
Roth is here.
Pirog.
And yes. Okay, very good. Anita, you're the last one in. So could you please lead us in the pledge? Doesn't count.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and
Justice for all.
Mr. Sanchez and Ms. Bates are asking to come in remotely. Is there any concern about this? We'll let them in. Full voting. Okay, welcome, everybody. All right, may I please have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of December 3rd, 2025?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Caius has something to say.
I apologize. Is it a new year?
This is your job.
This is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent for those minutes
Thank you. Do we have unanimous consent?
of December 3rd, 2025.
I
There we
I
go.
think unanimous consent has been given. Thank you, Mr. Caius. All right, we have several speakers for public comment. And the very first one is Brian Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Morning, Brian Anderson, Sugar Grove. I'll be very brief. This is the executive committee, the stakeholders, the leaders. I think we ended last year. We've got the optics. We balanced the budget. I think everybody understands what's going on right now. My numbers may be off a little bit. I think we're going to be facing 31 million. So this idea that we balanced the budget, we made cuts, the theatrics worked last year. It's going to be time to dig in deep, do what was recommended by Mr. Leonard and Mr. Roth last year of going department by department and making some deep cuts. I don't know. I don't have the number in front of me. I think January 1st here in the state of Illinois, 430 new taxes in the state. So the state is taxed to death. If you're thinking about putting the specialty retail occupancy tax for John Q taxpayer to vote in November, think again. Remember, last time you tried that, it was the largest voter turnout in 25 years in Kane County, with an overwhelming no among independents, Democrats, and Republicans. The real reason I'm here today beyond that is I'm very concerned. I went in and looked at Illinois, 10 Illinois CS-52-11, and I thought it was time sensitive. Digging in, it's not. But why isn't District 2 filled with an appointment? The question is, if not, why not? Because based on my research, you don't have to. I thought it was 60 days. It's not. And then I did see a copy of the letter that was sent to the Kane County Republican chair that District 9 is now vacant. We'll try to have that resolved, I think, going off the top of my head by March 1st. So I just want this body, we've got stakeholders, we've got constituents in District 2, and coming up in 9, they deserve to be represented. So this is directed to you, the chair. If you want to play it out until the general primary, just let everybody know if that's your intention. But if it's not, District 2 should have been filled by now, quite frankly. And you need to figure out why that hasn't happened. District 9, we'll see how this plays out shortly, since the resignation and some dates, I guess, didn't get keyed in correctly. But the taxpayers are looking, the board has a few duties, and some of them, quite frankly, are pretty easy. So it's time for the team to come together and get all of the districts represented. But if you plan on writing the clock out until the general primary, and then, hey, whoever wins the primary is going to be the appointee, just let John Q. taxpayer know. Thank you.
The next the next person is Michelle Betteg.
Michelle Bettag, St. Charles. I too am here, very, very hopeful with a new year. Been coming for over 3 years and, happy to see some faces that worked hard last year. I just want to remind you, 31 million in the hole. It was not a successful year last year. It was a shell game. It's a Rob, Peter, Paul situation. It's not good. $31 million in the hole. This board has become so outrageously big in the power it wields and the paybacks and the union donors that we're looking to pay back, thanks to the chair, has changed the makeup of this board. And some of the board members have changed the makeup that the founding fathers probably would be disgraced if they saw the operation of this board. I'm just looking back at some of the, year in review last year. You guys wanted to pass a $40 million building purchase for the health department. Right now, it was $8 million, a refurbished building. We'll be lucky to get out of there between 15 and 20 million. Many desks in there, many places to fill. It's becoming outrageous. Who goes to the health department? I'm not sure. We still don't know how many people go to the health department. I think a lot of people go to the ER if they have problems, or they Google if they have a disease or whatever. Anyways, I'm asking for a review on the responsible bidder ordinance. Back in 2023, we took that on. We pay more than we need to for jobs here in Kane County, and we're eliminating Kane County workers and businesses from being able to do those jobs because of this payback that we are doing here. I, like Brian, would like to see 2 financially minded board members added to the board. It's horrible to see people that apply for board positions that have no financial background or no financial wisdom, because this is what's happening here. We need people with a good background that can help us out of this crisis. Some of these social issues that have come and spent hours and hours on social issues here is a big, huge waste of time. It's about the budget, and you're failing huge, Madam Chair. This is on you. Madam Chair is putting stuff on the agenda that we can do without. It's unenforceable, proclamations that make people feel good, resolutions that are not enforceable. Let's balance the budget and reduce costs. We are number 28 in the country as far as paying taxes, and it's horrible. I don't want to see the retail tax. I want to get a resolution, at least an effort of cutting expenses. And, we look forward to a good year of spending a lot of time with you guys. Thank you.
The next speaker is Donna Davison.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Deanna Davison, and I'm here to speak about the STR ordinance that is on the table today. I am formally asking this committee not to forward this ordinance on to the board for a full review. I live next door to an STR, which has been a problem, and I'll explain my rationale. As it's written right now, this ordinance, as well-intended as it is, and I believe that it truly is well-intended, it interrupts our life to have an STR, not because of noise, not because of traffic, not because of smoke detectors, but because the introduction of an STR introduces a revolving door of risk into our daily lives. It reduces our property value simply by virtue of the fact that it is there. It erodes the character of our community. And by signing this ordinance, you are codifying all of that. So we are asking to please table this resolution. There is nothing in this resolution right now that speaks to limiting future STRs from opening in the future. There is nothing in here that takes into consideration the unique features of a particular house that wants to run an STR in our neighborhoods or the neighborhoods that they are in. This is a one-size-fits-all blanket permission slip for transient lodging businesses to operate in residential communities. You want to open up a transient lodging business 100 yards from a school or a park? Totally fine, as far as this is concerned. You want to open up a 4,400 square foot Airbnb on a cul-de-sac with a narrow one way in, one way out street, which is my situation, no problem. What could possibly go wrong? There's nothing in this ordinance right now that would speak to any kind of verification or enforcement or reporting measures when violations are noted. And we have a problem with that. Probably the main reason you should not forward this on to the board is because right now, the board enjoys considerable legal advantage in the fact that you are dealing with the STR issue in an ambiguous way. But the minute you come out and you publicly declare your full-throated support for the fact that STR should exist in our residential communities, you lose all of your legal leverage. You box yourself in should you ever decide that you have a need later to revise your position, and you take away from us, the community, the one hope that we have of restoring our residential neighborhoods to their intended use. We believe that a remedy exists in the current zoning code, which I will speak to at the board meeting next week. And in the meantime, please do not forward this on to the full board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, that does conclude our public comment for today. Ms. Hopkinson?
Hello, I've updated the financial presentation that I gave at Finance Committee 2 weeks ago because we processed some additional transactions. So next slide. Actually, the slide before that. There we go. The general fund, general account performance indicators. So right now, as we close 2025, all the payroll is in, and employee benefits have been posted for the year. So that's a final number. The only items that we're still waiting for to close out the 2025 numbers, we have some, all the sales tax and motor fuel tax revenue. We have one more month of that revenue, which we should have that information next week from the state. Interest revenue, we have one more month. And on the expense side, contractual services and commodities, the county has till next Friday, end of day, to get any other expenses that need to be posted to 2025 into the in for processing. So these are pretty close final numbers. And where we're at on the general fund, again, just to recap, for 2025, the budget was to use $27 million of reserves. Looks like we're going to end up around 20 million, could be a little less. I don't think it'll be more, but we're going to use about 20 million. If you look at the breakdown where the differences came out, we had about 3% more revenue than we had budgeted. And the key areas where that happened were in charges for services, in particular, the fees that are collected in the recorder of deeds in the county clerk's office were much higher than expected. The sales tax revenue, which is in that other taxes category, that was higher than expected. We budgeted higher than the year previously, but the sales tax revenue is still on an upward trend for the time being. And then reimbursement revenue was higher than expected. And primarily that has to do with court services was able to get more money from the state of Illinois to reimburse staff salaries. So our revenue came in about 3% higher than expected. On the expense side, we're coming in a little less on the expense side, primarily in salaries and wages. We're coming in under budget. We had budgeted about 87 million and we're coming in at around 84 million. So that's the big difference there. Next slide. Just highlights of our tax revenues other than property tax. And this is across all funds, not just the general fund. Sales tax revenue continues to be higher than expected and higher than budgeted, higher than the previous year. And the RTA sales tax revenue as well. The personal property replacement tax revenue continues to decline. Also, our local use tax revenue was lower than expected because of the change in state law, and that will continue now. Next slide just shows our tax revenues on a graph. The top two lines in blue and red are the sales tax and RTA sales tax. They continue on an upward trend due to inflation. And then the next slide, just an update of our slide that shows where we are with being over 90 days. So based on the latest numbers that show that we're going to use 20 million in reserves, we will end November 30th, 2025 with approximately 60 million in reserves in all of the general fund accounts. The two general accounts that are in green are the two accounts, the general account and the special reserve account are essentially the unrestricted monies that are available. The very small bars in the other colors are restricted for various purposes. So if you look at the 2025 bar, the darker green is slightly lower than that red bar. So the general fund, general account on its own is looking like it would be below 90 days, but together with the other special reserve funds, we're well over 90 days. And then carrying that forward into next year with our current 2026 budget, that forecast that we're going to use about 6.3 million in reserves. We have enough revenue or enough reserves between the general account and the special reserve to be above 90 days, but the general account on its own is slightly below the 90-day. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Kathleen? Kathleen, I do have one. It was brought up at Mr. Williams' committee, and I thought that there was going to be some research on that, but I've not heard back yet. Does the state of Illinois and does our county allow having a tax on short-term rental properties?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, could you look that up for us? Yes, do you have an answer to that?
Yes, Madam Chair, Surges, I did speak with, in one of our buildings in West Dundee, I do have 5 short.
Could you get closer to your mic?
I do
please?
have 5 short-term rentals, and I called over to Tim Scott, the economic director at West Dundee, and asked him the mechanism by which, is it a flat fee for a business license? He assured me, Cliff, within your operations, there is a hotel tax, if you will,
Know that.
that Airbnb coordinates through the Village of West Dundee. It's not a direct payment. We actually have to facilitate that on I think we do it on a quarterly basis because the amount's so small, but it is a set tax, and those taxes are based on whatever the municipality decides.
So
So
that's
that
that's
isn't-
a municipal tax.
It is a municipal tax. I would think that that overlays fits well with us as well. And it is one of my notes to discuss when we got to that part of the agenda today. So
All right, well, I will ask Kathleen, Ms. Hopkinson, if you could please research that and then let this board know, so we can decide, how we're going to approach this, because it's going to be very important. We'll talk more about that later on, but
And
it's,
Madam Chair, I
it's an
do know,
important point
I
to
was
note.
just doing some research down in Florida, up in the Panama City area. I had just read that whatever governing body is there, whether it's the county or the township or the municipality itself, had just raised their fees so large, like from 6% to 15%, that most of the short-term rental owners were saying, there's not enough fluff in there to absorb that without causing a shift. And how will that, so it gets to be a conversation that you just can't lightly have. So I would love to work with Kathleen on this.
It's, if we're going to move forward on codifying this in some way, it's an important conversation to have. Okay, thank you. And thank you, Kathleen, for your work on this. All right, Ms. Mann?
Blair, could you bring up the? So starting off, of course, as we head into 2026, we are celebrating America's 250th birthday. We did create a logo that is now sitting on our homepage. You should also know that Kane County will be celebrating its 190th anniversary on January 16th. So we've got some anniversaries. Oh, plus the Office of Emergency Management celebrating its 50th anniversary too. Lots of anniversaries. So. We did, after working with Mr. Surgis, we decided, yeah, we should have a Kane County government brochure. So we've been working on this with a graphic designer, and this is kind of what we came up with. At this point, I have a couple of copies up close if people would like to look at it, but this is it. Obviously, it's a trifold, so you kind of have to figure what it looks like when it's folded. But that's a little bit about what we decided to put together. And so again, if anybody wants to look at a closer copy. Yep.
Surgis again. Julie, I just wanted to thank you. I think when I've been using this and the poster board that we created years ago at many of our community events, and many of you in this room have joined me at those community events. And I just want to applaud you for having the forethought to say, this was not a campaign piece. This is literally the number one question that I think we all get when we're on the street is, what do you guys do? And the brochure was meant to answer that question and say, this is who we are and this is our services and stuff like that. So whatever iteration we're in on this, I think that if we can continue to refine this, that, to be able to say, listen, do you know that we're court services? Do you know that we, blah, blah. Yeah. I just thank you for carrying the torch on this. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so going into a little bit of outreach here. So you know that we had Maddie's Mittens March. We did a cold weather donation drive, cold weather clothing donation drive, 4 massive truckloads. I mean, it was amazing. You can see some of the pictures here. That doesn't even start to tell the story. We partnered with Elgin Township, the Regional Office of Education, the Kane County Clerk's Office, the Health Department, and Building A. And while the actual numbers of what was donated from our drive were not available, I'm told that about 5,000 pieces of clothing have been distributed since October by Maddie's Mittens. They were overwhelmed by the amount of clothing that we had, and by far the most came from Elgin Township. So I just wanted to give a big shout out and thanks to that. Hopefully we'll do that again next year, and that was a great outreach. Okay, so also we launched the Kane County Public Safety Alert System. This is an internal and external, so you can sign up as a Kane County employee, your location where you work and get alerts that way related to Kane County's workplace. And then externally, so if you live, work in Kane County, you can sign up for this. And again, this would be pushed out when we have a safety alert. Scott was on the local Fox News channel, and after we pushed out the news release, you can see that we got a lot of publicity for that. Lots of people signing up. So that was a good thing. Also, we did the same thing with the new coordinated Ride and Cane, the countywide coordinated Ride and Cane. Got some publicity that way too. Pushed out a bunch of stuff on that, so people would understand that this is a new enhanced system and is a lot easier to sign up and get a ride. New building in Elgin. We had some activity there last month. Cheryl Strathman wanted to have a meeting up there. It turned out really nice. We were all in the boardroom, as you can see there, and enjoyed a meeting that was on YouTube, thanks to Blair. And it was an interesting time to see the building and see where we are with it. And then, of course, the same day we helped open the Kane County Clerk's satellite office there. So you can see that was in Kane County Connects. Okay, so here's the big news. So we had a lot of fun with this. This was a good outreach. It kind of highlighted what the Kane County Division of Transportation does. I think sometimes they go unnoticed. The roads are plowed, salted, they're safe for everybody. So we had over 100 entries, and we sat down with some people at KDOT, and these are the ones that they came up with. Okay, so this is Plowosaurus Rex. This was submitted by Olivia Gates. She's a second grader from Batavia. She was inspired by her brother's love of dinosaurs. And so that was the first one. Second one is Cleropathra, which people thought was great. This was submitted by Eric Jensen, also Batavia. We didn't tell people where they were from. So he was inspired by an HBO series he had finished watching recently. Okay, and last but not least, stand by. Mailbox Mauler. Okay. Oh, yes, you would think this is a little mischievous. Accidents do happen. I talked to Mike Way about this. It's not all the time, but we thought we could turn this into a public relations kind of thing, that if you did have a mailbox that was accidentally hit by a plow, that we know how to take care of you on that. But this was submitted by David Buss. I wasn't able to get a hold of David before today, so I'm not sure where he's from, but if he's out there and listening, please email me back so I can get you down. So these three will be going out to KDOT. We'll be getting a tour. We'll see their their signs on these three plows, and that was a lot of fun. So
The graphics are lovely. So I'd like to go back before I asked, and anybody have any questions, to the brochure. Please review it, and we are going to start printing it out. Each one of you will get some, so you'll be able to use them. It is a defined amount of copies that we're going to be making. So that's already been paid for in the 2025 budget. So we're just ready to go with it. So I hope you'll enjoy it and use it appropriately. And if we run out of this, we can revise it if it needs to update it if appropriate, and we can reprint for 2026. So this has been something we've been working on, for 3 months, trying to get the layout. It's a very simple, difficult, challenging brochure to put together, all the content that goes on there. So this is the first reiteration. I think it's going to be useful, and I think it'll be helpful to all of you and to our residents as well. See what we do. So if you have any thoughts of changes on it for version 2, just let us know, and I'll let Julie know, and then we can continue to make it a live document and not keep it the same way for the next 5 years. So that's my suggestion. Yes, Mr. Linder.
To your point, Julie, could we get a little tiny fine print about the date of when this was published? So that when we find one of these brochures 6 years from now, we'll know it was, yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Point. Yeah, excellent point.
I got it.
And hopefully we'll, some of it will stay exactly the same, and some of it may be amended. Are there any questions for Julie? None? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, by the way, before you go, how was the blood drive yesterday?
Yeah, the American Red Cross is very grateful to Kane County for providing a space for them. They had 42 people sign up to give blood yesterday for January. That's incredible. So I'm not sure exactly the total, but we know that we had people waiting at 10 o'clock in the morning to get in to give blood, and that people find it very convenient to be here. And the American Red Cross is enjoying that. So yes, thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you for all of that. All righty. Let me get my agenda out now. You did not give blood? I tend to pass up. All righty. Oops. My agenda has gotten buried.
Madam Chair, while you're going through that gums,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Ms.
I know, Julie, you're walking around now. I apologize let Cliff. I apologize in advance, Julie, but because I didn't read it. The Get Covered Illinois, I know we have limited amount of time for folks to participate in that. I don't know if we can push that out, and you probably already have, and I apologize for that, but I think there's only a couple days left for folks to navigate that Get Covered Illinois, for those struggling with the healthcare costs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you did, but I don't remember what it says. Thank you.
Yeah, that's an excellent reminder, Michelle. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, all right, so I got my agenda together. Mr. Williams. I think you're next.
Cover administration.
Wait a minute, hold on a second. I'm missing a page on my, oh, here it is. There we go. All right, and Chris, please.
That'd be Mr. Caius. Yes. Thank you. Good morning. I think we have just 5 items, so I'd cover them separately. There's going to be a modification on at least one of them. So I would, from the Administration Committee, item A, I would like to present and potentially approve a resolution authorizing GL changes in the Building Management and Information Technology departments for the position of Building Security Director. That's on page 34. It's TMP 25-1474, and there will be a change in salary, but the total on the new would be $124,424.26, and I would move that and ask for a second.
Gums will second.
All righty. Is there any questions? Ask for roll call, please.
Okay.
Alan,
Alan, aye.
Bates, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Yeah.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Us.
Bliss,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Draftman,
Strathman, yes.
Pepe,
Tempe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good.
Item B, I'd like,
Oh, yes, yes, please.
Mr. Cos, as we are going into the new year, I was under some notion that when we had things like this, we were going to be a little bit more transparent about saying, this is the budget line item these are coming from, this is where the salary was, this is how much is left in that account. Honestly, I had a slip and fall. I haven't been out for a day or two mending, and I didn't pull everything that I needed to, but I didn't see that in the detail. And I just want to, and I'm not criticizing because I'm just as guilty as I'm trying not to be a hypocrite. But I would like to make sure that as we move forward with these, when we do something like this, we're able to say, whether it's this committee, which doesn't seem appropriate, maybe Finance Committee is more appropriate to do that in. This is the budget that was available. This is where we're drawing it from. This is what's remaining in there. We're well within tolerance, or this is exceeding tolerance and we're asking for an exception. If I could ask for that consideration, I'd appreciate it.
in the future,
Yes.
I will then.
Not trying to slow you down today, sir.
Refer,
Yeah.
refer to Mr. Fonstock to include that information for me and to have that. Because this is in the building management IT.
Mr. Caius, to follow up on that, perhaps finance can send that report to the board members to the executive committee and to the finance committee, just as a follow-up to that. And then going forward, we can include that in our resolutions.
This is Roger Fonstock with IT and Building Management. Just for clarity, Blair, if you go to the second page, should be a second page to that resolution.
It's in there. You do have some transfer, some account numbers.
Page 35.
Or 35 in my
Yeah.
book. The
It
next-
does have the fiscal notation that shows the salary and then all the benefits. I don't see it on here, but in the
Page,
packet online, you're, yeah,
page
you're
35.
There it is.
one
that
more
it?
up. Keep going up.
35, page 35.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's the fiscal notation and just for clarification, this is moving a person from the building management department to the IT department. And the security related functions are no longer just simply door locks and hinges. They're actually all computerized. So we use proximity cards and security cameras and all these things. And they've been for the past few years reporting to Charles Lasky and working through IT, and they're closely related to that. So we were trying to move them in the fiscal budget into IT is what this is.
Just to respond, it's, I am not trying to micromanage or doubt anybody. I'm just looking
Yeah.
for the fiscal
Yeah.
financial end of it to say, we're moving this from here in a more transparent fashion that says totally budgeted, well within what we anticipated, not a problem is all I'm asking for.
Okay.
So you guys do a great job
Yep.
and we appreciate, especially with this from security.
I just wanted to
perspective.
make sure the fiscal notation was actually in there. So.
And I did
Does that
acknowledge.
answer the
I've not-
question there? Pretty much doesn't answer the question?
For future, we'll
Okay.
hone it in,
Okay,
but yeah.
Sure. I'd be happy to. I think that the transparency is very important.
Mr.
so.
Caius, Mr. Leonard has a question.
Oh,
No, I
Chairman of
just wanted
Finance.
to mention on the executive summary on every resolution and ordinance, it does show if this was budgeted or not. It was budgeted. The transparency of how it was budgeted is something that Mr. Surges would like, and I think it's great. And I think page 35 gives us a pretty good understanding of that. But the more transparency, the better.
Bill, I would be looking for something that kind of says, our budget's here. If we do this, we're still within and we have this
our
push
budget.
left or not, is kind of where I don't know how to verbalize that, but
No.
that's the intent.
Not, not to exceed the approved budget.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I can oversimplify this, I think what Cliff's kind of looking for, and it makes a lot of sense, is what I'm proposing in this particular resolution going to increase the $31 million deficit, decrease it, or won't change it? And then people can get a sense of if this is making our problem worse, or if it's getting better, or if it's not changing. I don't know if that would help.
Okay, very good. Mr. Caius.
And so that resolution passes. Item B, I'd like to present and potentially approve a resolution authorizing a contract for the Building Management Department with Kluber Architects and Engineers for professional services related to the Kane County Adult Justice Center Kitchen and Laundry Improvements. That's on page 39, I believe, and that's TMP 25-1500 for $55,710. So I would move that and ask for a second.
Gums will second.
Seconds. Any questions? Please.
Alan,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe,
Tempe, yes.
Williams, Roth.
Roth, yes.
So that resolution passes. Item C, I'd like to present, potentially approve a resolution authorizing a budget adjustment for Mill Creek Special Service area due to the tax levy increase that they suggested and that we are passing. That's TMP 25-1478 on page 42 for $634,984.
William seconds.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alan,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Pius,
Pius, yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Tempe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Motion passes. Item D, I'd like to present and potentially approve a resolution for the approval to purchase a replacement vehicle for the Kane County Sheriff's Office. That's TMP 25-1486 on page 46 for $53,101. I move and ask for a second.
Surges moves. Seconds.
Second, thank you. Any questions? I think we have a representative from sheriff or online.
I do have a question when
Sure.
under sheriff is coming up. It says, going back to the very first discussion we had about budget for this, was this item budgeted? It says yes, the amount. Then it says if not budgeted, explain funding source.
That's
So
normal.
that
I'll
seems
leave
to
it up
be.
to
Madam
under
Chair,
sheriff.
that actually is normal language.
But perhaps we should clarify that if it was, I appreciate that where the funding source is coming from, that I get. But if it's not budgeted, and if it just.
I think
what
that's
the
on
funding
everything
source
now.
is.
If
Can we
it's
have,
not, then we have to explain it.
Can we have under Sheriff Johnson answer that question?
Yes. All right. Good morning and happy new year to everybody. This one is actually budgeted due to the fact that it was completely totaled. So insurance, it switches out also. So for that, for the total insurance, that is why it's budgeted. And that's why it says it also. So involved in a car crash, completely totaled for insurance purposes.
Okay, but you understand what I'm
I
saying?
do
about
understand.
budget.
Yes, absolutely. So in technical terms, it was budgeted.
I think we just need to extend another line in there that said, budget coming from,
Absolutely.
that's all.
Wanted to see the dog. What are you talking about?
Okay. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Pius,
Yes, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Pepe,
Tempe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Motion passes. And last but not least for administration, I would like to present, potentially approve a resolution authorizing the purchase of a van for the Kane County Sheriff's Office for the K-9 unit. That's on page 57, TMP 25-1499 for 71,000. Although we will be changing this number, so I'm going to ask for a modification here, but I'll put that as $74,421 for the motion. So I move and would ask for a
The
second.
modification.
Well, we'll do that in just a second. I think bring it up and then ask for an amendment. Yes, so you're going to second my resolution.
I second his resolution.
Okay,
Now you're going to amend it.
okay, and
The
then I would like to
modification.
amend that because apparently there was a small oversight and will there be a change in the figures? You got that on an addition to your on 1499. And I believe it raises its $2,000 under sheriff. You can,
That is correct.
so I would move that we change that, and I'll go for the state's attorney's language on that. I'm going to amend this to read whatever the final total is there. There you go.
Do you see it?
Great. Yeah.
Okay, so the amount, the total amount,
So I
Mr.
need-
Caius, is,
$73,436.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Mhm,
Oh, that's great.
correct.
Okay. So that's what I would move. The-
8 seconds.
8 seconds. Any questions on that? Mr. Greif?
Thank you, Mr. Guys. Under Sheriff Johnson, just curious, I know the K-9 officers work directly with each of their animals. So if there's training, which is what I understand this is for, transport to training, why wouldn't the dogs be going in the vehicles that they're assigned to with the deputy that they're assigned to? I can't see why we'd be dumping dogs together and they don't like each other usually.
One is actually for our sergeant who runs the entire K-9 program. So 100%, he actually has several K-9s. So he is transporting 3 to 4 based on his property in going to whether it's Illinois State Police or any other training facility. So it's not just one particular individual dog, it's numerous dogs where it's individualized. So it's not just, again, one individual dog, it's numerous for that canine handler that handles the entire program.
Thank you.
And is it suited with crates or independently? Their crates are removable in the vehicle?
That is correct. That's why he needed a more elongated, hence the reason why it's 2,000 more.
And as a bit of humor, are we going to name this one the Barkmobile?
We are actually probably going to take one for Julie Mann and maybe go with the public and have it named. Yes, that would be great though.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Scott, you ready?
Funny, I forgot where we're at. We have the amendment. So,
You have to vote on the amendment.
right, I moved it, the amendment,
I
and
seconded.
second, Bates. So roll call, please, on the amendment.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Truby, aye.
Caius,
Yes, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Bush, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman, Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
It's amended.
Motion passes, and I believe that's all we have. Thank you, Under Sheriff.
But that was vote on the amendment, I think.
Oh, no, that's right. That was the vote on the amendment. See, the humor just screwed me up. Roll call on the passing the
The amended
resolution,
resolution.
amended resolution.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Truby, aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Bush, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
That passes it. And that's all from administration. Thank you, Under Sheriff Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Ms. Juby.
All right, for agriculture on page 71, we are presenting for possible approval ordinance number TMP 25-1430, amending section 2-48 of the Kane County Code of the Standing Committees to revise language related to the Agriculture Committee. I'm motioning forward. Do I have a second?
Roth, a second.
All right, so a little background on this is when we were sitting down doing our goals for 2026 for the Agriculture Committee, we went to our ordinance to see what we were supposed to be doing. And we noticed that there were things that we were doing that were not in the ordinance, such as we added providing oversight to the county's efforts to protect farmland and support local farm access. We modified, we took county agencies, municipalities, departments, and offices and put it under organization. And we added that that it's recognizing that agriculture is a leading industry in Kane County and is historically the largest land use. So those are the changes that we made to reflect actually what we do in agriculture and what we believe our intent should be. So any questions?
Any questions on this at all?
Nope.
All right. I believe if there's no other questions, are we taking a vote then on this, or are we passing this through as it's an?
We pass it to county board and then we read twice.
Okay, yeah, we can, all right, very good. So this is going to be voted to be passed on, thank you, to county board. So are you ready to take, Ms. Juby, are you ready to take the vote?
Yes, yes.
Allen,
On aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Bush, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good. All right, you ready to be queued up now?
Now I'm ready.
Okay.
Or actually, I should say you're ready. Thank you, Madam Chair. The Development Department has 3 matters for your consideration this morning. All of them are really sort of interrelated in the genesis. The first is ordinance number TMP-25-1291. That is an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration Adjudication, Section 2-320, Adoption of System Administrative adjudication in Chapter 7 Business and Commercial Regulations of the Kane County Code to provide for regulation of short-term rentals in unincorporated areas of Kane County. I would move for approval and ask for a second for discussion.
Toronto second.
So if I could give the committee some background on this, you've heard from the speaker, that's a resident who lives in Mr. Gripe's district. There's a problem with an Airbnb in that area, and that sort of precipitated a communication to us about, okay, what can we do to address the problem that these residents are having? And in consultation with the state's attorney's office, we discovered that we had the authority to regulate short-term rentals. There's been a request that we ban them entirely. We don't believe that we have the authority to impose an outright ban. Lake County has done that through its zoning code, but that's the only county that's doing that. The trend in the collar counties is to impose regulations, much to like we are proposing today. What this ordinance will do is will provide a mechanism for anyone who wants to rent their property for less than 30 days to apply for a license from the county. There'll have to be an inspection. There'll be a license fee. There'll be various regulations that you can see that are set forth in the text of the ordinance, which are very comprehensive and a result of many months of discussion, both at the committee level and private meetings with staff. And ultimately, if we have a situation where someone renting their property on a short-term basis is not following the terms of this ordinance, then we have a pretty severe mechanism to impose fines or revoke their license. Now, there was a request today that we don't move this forward, and I think that might be really a misunderstanding on part of the resident as really what that impact would have for their specific property. First, this is the only property that we've had an issue with that we know of in Kane County. And again, this only affects unincorporated Kane County, doesn't affect incorporated areas. But let's say we tabled this, and let's say we wanted to go through a process where we tried to amend our zoning code. Well, what that would mean is we would have to prepare a petition that would have to go through the committee process. That would take about 120 days. Then we would have a public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Then it would go back to Development Committee. Then it would go to this committee and ultimately to the full City Council. You're looking at about 6 months. All right. So that puts us into July probably for if that were to take place. And then those, assuming that's even legal, which we have significant concerns that it is, those property owners that are already engaged in this business activity, which would include the people on Borough Court, I believe it is, their rights would be grandfathered. So the ordinance would not prohibit them continuing on the Airbnb. And we have hundreds of properties in the county that are being Airbnb'd, and they would have the right to continue on.
In unincorporated or incorporated?
We don't have the exact number, but we believe it's several hundred in unincorporated. So in any event, we would have a situation where, let's say we passed a complete prohibition. We have no regulations now because if we table this ordinance, we have no mechanism, and their problem would continue. I'm fully sympathetic with what these people are dealing with. But this ordinance has a lot of teeth in it. And we suspect that by the passage of this ordinance and the two that are to follow, we will alleviate a large majority of the problem that we're experiencing with this specific property. For instance, in this property, we've heard reports about buses coming in with a lot of people having parties. I think maybe a portable hot tub was brought in one time, right? Under this ordinance, you couldn't have more than 2 people per bedroom, right? So it would be a typical house is 4, maybe 5 bedrooms. You'd be capped at 10. Well, you're not going to be busing people in, 10 people in. If you wanted to have a party, so to speak, more than 100 people, and we're going to look at this down the road as well, but that would trigger a requirement for a special event permit. And then the applicant would have to demonstrate that there's adequate parking, that there's security systems in place, that there's adequate sanitary facilities. And that would really put a control and really a stop on some of these parties. Now, I think what we're also going to be doing is looking to lower that number from 100 to something below that. But there is quite a bit of teeth to this ordinance, and I think will alleviate a good chunk of the problems that we're experiencing.
Are we motioned and into discussion or not?
We're in discussion.
We're in discussion right now. Yes, sir.
Rick, just, I'm slightly versed on all of this, and from both sides, the legislative side and the business owner side. And I'm very much in favor of doing something that allows us to quantify who's doing this and who's not. And I believe, from my perspective, that was the biggest benefit of this. My concern is that, or my hope is that we don't end with this. In the towns that I represent, there are areas where Airbnb is allowed and not allowed. And the discussions that I've had is that if I've lived in this neighborhood and raised my children here, I knew what was living next door to me. It was a single family residential home. It wasn't an apartment. It wasn't a hotel. And by you guys allowing, well, who's you guys? Well, whoever the municipality is. So a bunch of the municipalities have created areas that said you can have it in this area, but not that area. I like that. I very much like that, because the businesses are allowed to focus on safety concerns, parking features. How would an ambulance get there? The neighborhood is protected. So I would hope that maybe if we're going to do this, rather than move it to committee, if this gives you the teeth you need, I would approve this personally if we were taking this to the next step, meaning if in 6 months you have the ability to say, holy cow, we've tried to enforce this and we now know we have 1,400 of these, or we have 3. This is how we should be adapting this. Then I'm okay. If this is we just want to do this and we're not touching it again, I'm not okay. I think we need to do more.
So that, Cliff, that has been our plan all along. What our plan has been is to impose this process, see how it works. If we still have problems, then we can tweak this. We can look at other avenues to deal with the problems. One of the things that is a problem for us is we really don't know right now who's doing this and who they're having, right? And so if there's a complaint called to a property, the sheriff doesn't know who's there and, how are they related or not. This will give us a mechanism to find that information out. So, and this has no change in the underlying zoning ramification. So for instance, if the property is zoned R1, residential single family, you can rent out your property as long as it complies with the zoning ordinance, which would be for single family purposes. Well, if you're having 10 families out there in a big party, that is not a single family purpose. That's happening. We know of a 14,000 square foot house somewhere in Campton Hills that is doing this. So this will give us the tools necessary to stop that.
And in full transparency, and just because I do this often, we're going to take a first blush at it. And if we need to tweak it as we go along because we don't have it right, we're being honest and saying we're going to do that. That would be my intent for this and my hope for this. And I applaud you for taking the first step, or whoever instigated this, for taking those first steps.
Mr. Linder?
Yes, Mr. Linder.
In terms of that occupancy, 5 bedrooms, 10 people, does that only apply to sleeping, or does that apply to the whole day?
Well, since Mr. Ford's not here, I don't know the answer to that right offhand.
Okay.
The maximum, excuse me, I do. The maximum amount of people is 16.
Sleep? To sleep.
To sleep and
To
stay.
sleep.
It's really
No,
more
that's
of,
the guest limit, 16.
That's the guest limit altogether.
there's also more of a limit as it relates to, so you don't really think about it as sleeping or day. It's how many bedrooms does this house have? multiply that by 2, then you have your total limit number. Up to,
They can be
yeah,
carried in.
16.
right, up to 16, correct.
Yes.
For example, if you have a place that's only got 2 bedrooms, 4 people. But if you have 10 bedrooms, you're capped at 16.
Whoa, that's not good math.
It's capped.
Okay.
10
No
times
more
2
than-
is 20,
20.
but it's capped at 16. So that's my point, is the cap.
And the reason for that is because most of these properties will have well and septic, and we can't overburden those well and septic systems.
Correct. Yes, Ms. Chuby.
I have a couple of questions. I probably should break them out of the one big question that I made. So are the property requirements that are listed on this document, is that what we're using as the licensing criteria? Or is there like a separate document that tells what our licensing criteria is?
Well, these are the regulations that need to be followed in order for a license to be issued. I think what we'll do is Mark's office will have an application form prepared, and we'll hand out a copy of the ordinance. And they'll have to comply with all of these requirements before they can
So
be
that's-
issued a license.
That's our licensing criteria, is what's in this
Correct.
packet. Okay, my second question is, I didn't see anywhere in there where we said the owner had to be occupying the property at any percentage of the year. So are we not, so we are not requiring the owner to be on premises, so we're allowing the absentee owners?
We
I
are
mean, it's
not,
just a
there is no
question.
such requirement. And the example that we've talked about that. There's no prohibition for someone forming a company in owning rental homes, right?
Okay.
And so there's really no way for, I guess you could have the owner of the entity be required to, but no, we're not talking about that yet. Maybe that's something we talk about, seeing how this works after it's implemented.
Okay, and my last question is, because we don't currently have an ordinance, we have to do things in a case-by-case basis, correct? So if someone calls up and says, these things are happening and they're in unincorporated Kane County, we either dispatch the sheriff or the code enforcer, or whatever, correct?
Correct,
So it's in a case-by-case basis now?
correct.
Okay.
This is a complaint-driven
Right, so
process.
does this, passing this ordinance, does this change our case-by-case review of it? Or will the compliance of it remain the same?
The compliance will remain the same because we don't have the staff to police it. So let's say someone is having a loud raucous party and they call the sheriff, and the sheriff shows up and he finds out that it's a short-term rental. Well, the sheriff will know about this ordinance and can say, do you have a license? If the answer is no, that's easy. Then he can cite them. If the answer is yes, then the sheriff can look at the ordinance and see if it's being complied with. If he sees 50 people in the house and there's a maximum of 16, well, guess what? We know that the ordinance is but being violated, and he can cite them for that as well.
So compliance falls with the sheriff's office because we don't have the manpower
Correct.
to do that. And have
Correct.
we had discussions with the sheriff's office about whether they're going to be able to absorb that? Or is this going to be something that we're like, hey, sorry, this is our new rule and you guys have to do it?
I believe Steve Ford has talked to the sheriff, but he's not here. I don't, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I have not spoken to the sheriff's office.
Ms.
Okay,
Johnson is
thank you.
gone. Amy Johnson is gone. Yes, Ms. Bates.
I think I'm gonna go with my colleague to my left, Mr. Surgis. If this is the first step in the way we're gonna manage this, I think it's a good step. I believe that the quality of life of the people surrounding these Airbnbs are severely impacted by this. And it's no way to build a community to throw our houses away. These are not community members. These are just, I'm visitors. We went to Hawaii. We lived in this nice house in Kauai. I didn't realize, here we are taking a house away from this community. Now I think I would know better. I would like to see something about how many of these we can have, what percentage of homes can be devoted to this, where some areas, yes, some areas, no. So I think it's very serious. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Lewis.
So, if appropriate, I see we have Mark Van Kerkhoff in our audience, and we also have John Mall, who is our code enforcement officer. I was just wondering if they think this is a good thing, or if this is going to cause them a lot more paperwork for one problem. If they want to share an opinion.
Podium for this one.
Sure. So first of all, I do want to thank the state's attorney for their work on this. We have, as this industry has emerged, have had problem properties from time to time that we've had to address. And one of which we did successfully through the courts to get a court order for them to cease and desist using it as a party venue. That's mainly been the larger complaints that we've had to do so. So this would give us another tool, particularly in those more extreme cases, to have those contacts, have another way to work for compliance with the property owner, but also with the hosting service. A lot of those, some of those will have requirements that, you know, anyone posting on their site have their proper licenses and approvals to be able to advertise. So it gives us some additional tools for doing that. And in terms of compliance, it would be a combination of working with the sheriff's office. Obviously, they'd be responding to after-hour complaints. I anticipate we would continue to get complaints if someone says, hey, I think someone's operating a Airbnb on my property. We administratively, our team, John Mall and his team would follow up to find out about that property owner and let them know if this were to go through, that there's a licensing requirement for unincorporated properties. There'd also need to be if this were to be passed, you know, notifying the company, some outreach so that people are aware of the process, and hopefully we, you know, get people starting to apply for licenses, you know, just off of that campaign. But a lot of it is to have that contact information to follow up on more parties to cite for violations than just who might happen to be on the property at the time if they're one of the short-term renters.
Madam Chair, you said the hot tub rental license comes through Mark's office?
So if I may, I have a couple of concerns about this. I had opportunity, was invited to visit the neighbor's house, and beautiful home, a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood. And I have real concerns about this, but I understand where we're coming from with not being able to deter the current owners of these businesses. So I have two questions. Could we not do this in concurrence? So let's say hypothetically, this ordinance does get passed for existing properties. I'll bring back the ordinance in a minute. Why cannot we move forward with the direction of banning, similar to Lake County, any new potential purchases for this intent? They seem to be two separate entities and not impacting the current owners of Airbnbs with their rights and privilege to own property to develop a business, but preventing forward movement on this. They seem to be two separate issues, and I don't think that there's any problem of moving both. The second one I have with this, and this may be a question for you, Mr. Williams, or for Mr. Van Kerkhoff. The fee is incredibly generous, very low. I wonder if it even covers the administrative costs. A $200 fee for a license and then $100 for renewal is a very modest fee for a high profit value. Obviously, these are investment properties. If you're running a business, there's all sorts of tax benefits with having investment properties and business properties of write-offs. So I'm just concerned that, is there a reason why that $200 for the fee and $100 for renewal?
I believe that's what the state law provides for.
Is
To
that,
the,
is
I
that
mean, we
the-
can,
is that the minimum?
that's the maximum.
That is the.
I agree
maximum.
with you. I think we should charge more fees for this, but
I
that,
would
but
think like 1,000
I'll
and
follow.
500.
But I'm happy to get you that tax information that we pay through West Dundee. And we should be able to mimic that easily.
Well, it depends on what the county is allowed to
Well,
do.
our enabling authority is the county's code. That's either a home rule municipality or the municipal code provides for them. So it's not the same standard.
I would agree with that. We can look in the county's code. I'm not sure there is authority for us to charge what essentially is what they call a hotel tax.
Mhm.
So I don't believe historically we've ever charged a hotel tax or we've even done it for a while. So we can look to see if it's even available, but if it's not, then I believe the 200 and 100 is the maximum that would be allowed.
Well, that could be something that, let me just finish the Ms. Tribby. That could be something then, Ms. Gums is out of the room at this point, that I think we should immediately speak to one of our legislators and see if that can be addressed and amended. Because if this is not just a problem here in Kane, it obviously could possibly be a problem throughout the general area.
But would you be supportive on moving this forward while we're working on that?
I have really, and honestly, I have mixed feelings about this, seeing the result of the impact of this house. I have, unless it's a tie, I have no vote on this, but I do have real concerns about continuing to allow these kinds of residences, these short-term rentals within the unincorporated areas.
So you mean it all? You mean a prohibition of them?
Going forward, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So to answer, I think the second question you had was answered, Madam Chair. The answer to your first question is people have property rights to use their property, right?
Absolutely.
Now they have a responsibility to use it in a way that's not injurious to their neighbors.
I agree with that.
There is no specific authority in the county's code for us to ban short-term rentals,
That's
only
right.
to license them. Now, if Lake County wants to lead the charge and be sued and defend that litigation and win, hey, then it's a whole different ballgame for us. I don't think we're looking for a lawsuit. We've got enough
But,
things we need to spend our money on other than more lawyers.
but could we decide, two attorneys now, going forward, keeping great, everybody who is currently owning a business, these properties, the business, they maintain it, no question. But going forward, can we ban any future purchases to turn these into a short-term
Well,
rental? Now,
there's a
we're
distinction.
talking about long-term rentals, annual rentals, et cetera, et
There's a
cetera.
distinction between purchase and use. We can't deter people from purchasing that, right?
Okay.
Our,
define
our,
the
our,
use of.
the use is what we regulate through our zoning.
To your point,
code,
yes.
Yeah, and through other regulations. As I said before, changing the zoning code to prevent it to the extent that's even legal is not going to change the problem for those that are already doing it.
I
This ordinance is also going to serve as a significant barrier to entry for additional people saying, hey, I'm going to Airbnb my house for a couple weekends a year to make some money. They're going to come in, they're going to say, I've got to do all this. They're not all going to do it. But our regulations are reasonable. They're tailored to the issues we're facing, and they're rationally related to public health and safety concerns. So I think they're enforceable. But it's going to make it more difficult for somebody to come into the county to buy a house for the purpose of just renting it out when they have to go through all these requirements. And I think those requirements are going to alleviate a lot of the issues that some of the residents are dealing with now.
Well, the quality of, Ms. Juby, I apologize, please.
Thank you. Under this ordinance, do we have the ability to turn down a license based on the location or the percentage of other properties that have gotten a license before? So we don't, is that something that we're allowed to put in this ordinance?
I don't see how we could.
What?
We'd have to have the state's attorney look at that, but
So we're not allowed to limit where they are or how many we are allowed to have?
I would hope not.
That's something we can definitely look into. I don't believe that's anything we've looked into as it relates to this. The biggest issue, just so we're kind of clear of kind of So to your question, Madam Chair, of whether you could ban it for future purchases. The issue on the reason we can't ban is because essentially it accounts for what is essentially a taking. Because you've now taken away somebody's property rights when they bought the property, having those rights in place to run a business out of their home kind of idea, or that particular type of business. So the concern is if essentially you were to do that, they could sue you as a taking, and then you essentially would have to pay them for the loss of their value in the property for whatever judge determines the amount.
For their income on the
Right.
property.
Whether that analysis extends to future purchases, if you were to ban it going forward, I don't know is necessarily a settled area of law. So it's something we can look into if requested, no different than we can look into this as a secondary type of question. I will say that if you are holding out hope that these things will perfect this effort, you will be holding your breath for a very long time. Because like the law, these things take time, and especially if it's an unheralded or unfinished part of the law, it's going to take a long time to really get a clear answer on this, because most likely it's going to have to go through lawsuits to find out. So if this is a good first step to you, it's something you should consider, because I don't think the long-term prospects of some of these other concerns are going to be an immediate answer for you. I think it'll take time to figure that out over whether or not we can ban based on kind of like we've thought about for solar on some of that stuff, right? Having too many solar in one location, that type of thing. I don't know if that thought process is going to be something that would still be considered a taking, because or anything prospective. So just, we'll look into it. I'll get you answers as quick as we possibly can. But you know, I would caution you to think that these things will more perfect what this is. The effort strictly is to, within the law, get them as close to compliance as what we would hope. And the upside to a licensing process is if they lose their license, then immediate actions can be taken against them and everything can be shut down immediately. If they no longer have a license, they continue on. That's something that the sheriff's office can do. That's something that the development department can do, as opposed to more of a administrative hearing process when there are violations that take way longer of a time. So something to think about.
Yes, Ms. Gomes, and then Mr. Linder.
Oh, thank you very much. So I have, to your point, Mr. Williams, I think, I would not support a complete ban, just to be clear. But if you're looking, nationally, there are many local governments across the whole country and at the national level that restrict how many licenses they will, provide. And that is based on, analytics that determine how many, what percentage is appropriate for their community. I would support a dive into that, because what we have is a housing issue across the whole country. We know that to be true. And I would suggest, we limit how many liquor licensing we give out. We do all kinds of different things. And across the country, there are plenty of local governments that have this. I'm sure that there is case law suggesting after they've been sued what those results are. And I would enjoy that conversation. I would like to be included in that conversation, because I think it is something that we should have going forward. Now, one question that if I might follow up, one question that I did have, one of our speakers indicated by inclusion of this. So we're now including something, and I'm not a lawyer, but I think the suggestion was, because we're now including this, does that open us up for things that we normally otherwise would not have been opened up to? And that was a legitimate, in my brain anyways, by exclusion, you're covered. But when you include, now there's a whole nother conversation, and that piqued my interest. So I would like to hear that.
So that's been brought up to me before this meeting, was the question of the status quo. As it stands right now, yes, you don't technically authorize short-term rentals. But the concern is essentially these are property rights and they've been operating accordingly. And so I think it would feign no one would believe that they don't have those rights as it stands right now. And so people are operating as if they do. It would take a court order to say that they never did in the first place, which I don't think you're ever going to find. And so I think the status quo is right now is that, yes, they do have these property rights to do it. And that if you were to regulate it, then you are constricting it. But to approve it would not change anything because I think it's already operating as if it's already approved. And so I do agree with Mr. Williams that regulation is probably the strongest act you can take right now without running the risk of a substantial liability of lawsuits.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Linder?
I have two questions, both for the legal eagles. When you talk about that property right, let's say Miss Allen and I live on the same street in the same zoning area in the unincorporated area. And she's running this short-term rental thing and I'm not. You put in this zoning restriction. If you did that, don't I still have the same property rights she has? Wouldn't I still have the right to do this?
Are you essentially asking that whether or not the zoning restriction would apply to both or just the one property?
Right. Well, you're talking about you're gonna this whole district you're gonna zone as no Airbnbs, no short-term rentals.
Sure.
She's doing it, so she can keep doing it. I'm not doing it, but I'm still property owner before that was passed. Can I do it?
You're asking about grandfathering. Is that what you're essentially getting at?
Every resident that's there at the time of the change grandfathered?
Yeah, so the licensing, and Mr. Williams, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the way we're intending the licensing is to apply to current and future. And so
I'm talking about if we did the zoning thing.
well, so the thing about zoning is, yeah, so the answer would be it would apply to you and it would probably not apply to her because she's grandfathered and you would not be.
I have a little experience in this for
Yeah, go
clients. If you have expended substantial resources in reliance on the underlying zoning, in that case, if you bought a property and you were planning to Airbnb it, then you would be grandfathered, even though you haven't undertaken the use. It's the test is whether you've expended substantial sums. I want to reiterate that nothing here changes or expands rights under the existing zoning ordinance. So if you're Airbnb-ing a single family home, it can only be Airbnb to a single family. You can't, this doesn't give you the authority to make it a party house. It allows you to rent it to if you're a multifamily, that's one thing, but in a single family home, it can be rented for single family uses. That's what the zoning ordinance allows for, and you can't exceed the zoning ordinance simply because you have a short-term rental license. That is being violated right now throughout the county,
Yes, absolutely.
right? We know that. This will be a tool for us to, in addition to regulating that, we'll discover who's violating the zoning ordinance by having the party house and to stop it.
Yeah, my second question, and this is an easy one, I'm sure. You talk about the license fee being $200 and then $100 to renew. Could we have a shorter term for the license so that they pay that $200 twice a year or 4 times a year?
That's a good question. I think this is something Ms. Gums can work on in legislative.
Yeah, you were out of the room. We're asking you to take this forward and to investigate it. And I have some.
Oh, thank you.
information to
Yeah, $200, really? Yeah, no.
It's fair. That's a great business license.
I'll be
cost.
honest with you, don't get hung up on the amount right now, because I think the bigger issue for all of you is to make sure we're identifying where these homes are and making sure they're in compliance with our regulations. And the nominal amount is just and also more specifically, so when there's an enforcement action, we can take action on the license. Because once you no longer have the license, now the officers can shut you down. They can do all these kind of things where it's a little bit not quite the same situation when when it's a little bit more of a zoning issue. licenses are clear as day for officers. Zoning isn't quite as clear for everyone. So it's what I agree with Mr. Williams. It's a mechanism for us to utilize to rein these kind of run amok STRs, as I believe the speaker called them, kind of rein them in and make sure that they're operating the way they're supposed to be operating within the zoning requirements already in place against them.
I would hope that this is what it does is it scares a lot of people into another county.
So we've been talking about this for about a half hour, and I think we have a lot of different opinions on this enforcement. But right now, we have no enforcement from what my understanding is, or very modest amount of enforcement. My heart personally does go out to our residents who happen to live by some of these rental properties who have over exceeded what their original intent was. I am not concerned by the size of these houses that we're taking away houses from people, because these are incredibly large homes that are bought particularly for a purpose to have. I'm not sure how we're going to enforce a family, a single family on that, and who's going to be taking a look. I happen to was married to a Krawcheck, and I have kept my maiden name Pirog. So would I have to show a marriage license? And my son's name is from my first husband. So how do I identify multiple last names within a single family? So that is just, I mean, just the priorities and how all that works, how you can check that it is a family or a family of brothers and sisters who have all gotten married with a variety of different names. That may be a problem and an overreach for the county. So I can't, I'm confused about that, and that may be something you want to clarify. Sworn statement that it is just a single family who's celebrating their Christmas holidays in a residence in unincorporated Campton Hills. But we have no authority right now, so I'd like to move this to the board. And we can then further, if it gets passed, then further patrol this, I think would be a good word, to make sure that it is an effective tool. You know, and I'm going to be speaking about this later on, that I did attend a conference in Palo Alto that you graciously allowed me to go to. And one of the documents that they did share with me that I was pulling out from NACO is their statements on taxes on short-term rentals. It is a quick little paragraph. I will be contacting them and get more research from them and share that with you, Mr. Williams, so you can share it with your committee on what other states are doing to control short-term rentals. And there's a variety of different approaches. And then we can send that forward. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a process question. So it is my understanding that we're asking this vote is to whether we put it forward on the consent agenda on the full board, correct?
You can also approve it to go off consent.
Right, but that's what our vote is.
Yes,
for us
correct.
to move it forward, because it's an ordinance, doesn't it have to be off the consent agenda?
It needs two readings, doesn't it, Mr. Frank? Because there's fees imposed and fines imposed.
Yes. So similar to your ordinance.
So it would
change.
have to be off. So if we vote yes, we're voting to put it on the consent agenda. So can we modify the initial motion to send it forward, but send it forward not on the consent agenda? Or is that something you just do automatically when you
can
develop the
amend my
agenda for county board?
So he can modify his motion. We just need to modify the second. That's
But
it.
that would mean I would need to modify the agriculture one as well, because that should have also been, because it's or is that one not required to
Both
have?
fines or fees are imposed.
Okay, so that one can go through on the consent, but this one needs to come off consent.
I'll modify motion to approve it off consent.
And I will re-second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ross.
So that'll take care of the first issue. You are correct, though, because you won't be able to pass it in consent, but we'll deal with that separately. What we'll do is we'll just remove it off of consent. You can use your executive decision to move it.
I just want to make sure we don't do it wrong for the next three as well. Because the next, so A, B, and C are all ordinances that would probably need to be removed, so.
Ms. Juby, just to confirm your concerns, that is something that we do internally at the office as we set this up. I was just confirmed with that all ordinances do go off to the off consent when we get to the full board. So this would just be a vote to move this forward to the full board. But now that, we can take, we had a motion a second to pull this one off consent, but that will be done for the other remaining ordinance changes, including yours. So with no further discussion on this, are we ready to take the vote? Yes.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Just yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
You ready for number B?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item for your consideration is ordinance number TMP 25 1534, amending chapter 15, nuisances and property maintenance of the Kane County Code pertaining to noise. I'd make a motion for approval off consent.
Council
second.
second.
Just some background here. The noise issue in the county has been something we've talked about for many years. And our current standard is very vague. It just says you can't be loud and raucous. And that poses problems for the sheriff's office to enforce. So what we are doing here is we are imposing an actual decibel level for both day and nighttime noise. For the period of 10 PM to 7 AM, the decibel maximum level is 55 dBA. And then from 7 AM to 10 PM, the maximum decibel level is 65 dBA or decibels. That's measured at the property line. We've had conversations with the sheriff's office. The sheriff's going to purchase some decibel meters. So when we get these complaints relative to noise or relative to a party at an Airbnb, it's another toolkit that the sheriff has in his bag. Yes, Mr. Surgeon.
Mr. Williams, if I could address this to Mark Van Kerkhoff. Mark, we've had a couple of things that you and I have worked over for the years in terms of areas like the milk pail and some special event permits in the West Dundee area. A quinceañera was being held and we had to be are we setting that decibel level? Have we chosen this decibel level as we have one? It's not one for this and one for that and one for that. We're consistent.
Yeah, this is one. There's a difference, as Mr. Williams pointed out, between daytime and nighttime. Noise levels that are permitted, but it apply to any noise. It's
Perfect.
just a measurement.
Yeah, Rick, the problem we were having is people would get a special use permit to say, go till 9 o'clock. Neighbors are calling at 10:30 saying their band didn't stop. They're still playing, blah, blah, blah. And we don't have the mechanism. So we worked with Mark to come up with a
Standardization.
great term. So as long as we're being consistent with that, yay.
Yeah. Okay. Are any other questions on this?
Madam Chair, Gums.
Ms. Gums.
The noise ordinance has been an issue. We brought it up many times, trying to get something done. So I appreciate the development committee working on this because it needs to be done. But I think I have a little bit of issue with the decibels, and here's why. We, in further discussion, a couple of years ago, I think we discussed, there was a big presentation about what those decibel levels mean. So there is this exception for your lawnmowers and your leaf blowers, and those things are in here. But a normal laughter is 65 decibels. So, I think there are certain circumstances where this is certainly appropriate, but I don't know if you don't like your neighbor and they're having a backyard barbecue, we might have a problem here. I don't know how to handle that or manage that. I just wanted to say it out loud that when I'm sitting in the background with Bill Leonard having a cocktail and we're giggling and it's 65 decibels, I don't want my neighbor to call the sheriff's department. So, I mean, I don't know how we manage that, but I think it needs to be discussed that that's a pretty low decibel level, in my opinion.
Well, I think the easy answer is to tell Mr. Leonard not to giggle anymore.
Oh, it's a horrible giggle.
Good
This
jokes.
is measured at the, this is measured at the property line. So unless you're standing at the property line giggling, sound decreases over
Sure.
space. So if you're on a back patio and you're 30 feet away from the property line, yeah, it's not perfect. I totally agree with you. There's, and again, this is something we can look at down the road and tweak if it's overly, if it's being weaponized, say by a neighbor, or if it's still not alleviating a problem, and we can tweak these. This is very consistent to what Kendall County and I believe DuPage County does as far as decibel levels.
Sure.
And that the intent of, unless you have, Mr. Leonard can laugh consistently for a half hour to an hour. That must be a wonderful joke.
Great. It's a great time.
And wonderful cocktails, to be able to do that. This is considered for long-term noise.
Right, the sheriff would have to show up and it would have to be going on while the sheriff is there, right? So
And I know it's not perfect. If I mean, I get it's not perfect. I just wanted to articulate that it could, historically, it has been problematic where one neighbor doesn't like a particular kind of music. That happens all the time. So, I just want it to be said that might be an issue.
I give an example. At my old house, my neighbor put the trampoline right on the property line, right next to my deck. And I couldn't sit on the deck a lot because there'd be 10 kids jumping and screaming and, it was very loud. I go inside, I find something else to do. That's
Right.
being neighborly. But it's when typically it's the neighbor loses their mind because they can't deal with it anymore because there's an ongoing problem is when they'll call.
Right.
Hopefully that's when this is implemented, not just because there's bad blood between neighbors.
Okay, all right. Enough discussion on this, I believe. Clerk, call the roll.
Helen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Comes,
Yes.
Juby,
I.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Surges, yes.
Tepe. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just walked into the building.
Mr. Tepe, do you want to vote for this?
Noise ordinance,
Noise ordinance, Mr. Tepe.
Thank you. Williams,
yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good. Okay, last one.
Thank you. Next item for your consideration is ordinance number TMP 25 1537, amending chapter 15 nuisances and property maintenance of the Kane County Code to declare trespassing a public nuisance. I would move for approval and ask for a second.
Roth will second.
Just some background. We are having some issues both, with the Airbnb situation and in some other areas of the county of people trespassing. And at the suggestion of the sheriff's office, we are tightening up our restrictions so that in addition to trespassing being a crime in and of itself, it's also a nuisance to give the sheriff more tools in his or her toolbox.
So, just clarification for me. Your dog is off leash, fine, and goes into somebody's yard and you have to go in and get your dog. And your neighbor doesn't like you because the dog is always doing this and you're apologetic. It just happens. Is that considered a nuisance trespassing, or would that just be a, hey, get your dog on a leash?
A one-time thing, I would say no, but a repeated, it very well might be.
Is that a personal question?
No. It's not.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
She's, my dog is doing very well with training.
Don't forget that leash.
Literally, she'll say, if I say stop, she'll stop. She's a good dog. So,
I will say
other
though, with
questions
that
on this?
example, if it's the dog on the
don't
property,
you comment about Nugget now.
the dog is not a person, so that the dog would not be trespassing. Only you when you go to retrieve the dog.
Any other questions on this? Or comments? Okay, let's call the roll.
Ellen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby. Tyus,
Bias, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Molina, Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Sturgis, yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
All righty. Okay, so thank you for that very, very challenging. Yeah, very challenging. So let's go on to finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have 16 items to move forward. 14 are resolutions, 2 are ordinances. I would like to present all of them at one time and then have a motion to discuss and move forward on these. The first resolution is 25-1557. It's on page 88 of our agenda. It's approving the November 2025 claims paid of $15,527,999.32. Our second resolution is approving the personal expense voucher reimbursements on 6 individuals and the total amount of $1,270.85. The third resolution is authorizing revision to the Kane County Financial Policies Travel Policy. And that is Resolution 25-1559 on page 148. The next 2 are ordinances, and they authorize fiscal year 2026 non-union cost of living wage increases and emergency appropriation and budget adjustments to amend the fiscal year 2026 budget. I'd like to point out that these changes, incorporating a 3% increase for all non-union employees, are being handled by expense reductions by all departments. The next ordinance is authorizing fiscal year 2026 county board employees' cost of living wage increase and emergency appropriation and budget adjustment to amend for the fiscal year 2026 budget. This is in the amount of $9,631, and this is an internal transfer of expenses taking from the contractual services, reducing those in order to handle these wage increases. Our next resolution is 25-1565 on page 166. It is a resolution authorizing an emergency appropriation and budget to amend the 2026 county budget for finance department staffing. This amount is in the total of $21,130, and it is a transfer from software expenses to payroll. Our next resolution is 25-1452. It's on page 172. This resolution is informing the County Board of Adult Drug Rehabilitation Court contracts. It's in the amount of $150,000 for the year, up to 4 years. And this is out of a special fund, not the general fund. Our next resolution is 25-1455. It's on page 295. It's authorizing a contract for medical services for the Juvenile Justice Center. The amount of the first year cost is $506,333, which is budgeted. Each of the additional next 3 years incorporate a 5% increase in that cost. Our next resolution is 25-1456. This is on page 445. This resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Wayne County for juvenile detention services in the amount of $225 per day, and it's a 3-year contract. The next resolution is 25-1457, page 448 of your agenda. This is a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Lawrence County for juvenile detention services, also in the amount of $225 a day for 3 years. The next resolution is 25-1458. It's on page 451 of your agenda. This resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Richland County for juvenile detention services. This is also $225 a day for 3 years. The next resolution is 25-1459 on page 454 of your agenda. This resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Franklin County for juvenile detention services in the amount of $225 a day for 3 years. Our next resolution is 25-460-1460 on page 457. And this resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with Crawford County for juvenile detention services, once again in the amount of $225 a day for 3 years. Resolution is 25-1461 on agenda page 460. This resolution is authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with White County for juvenile detention services for $225 a day, and this is a 3-year contract. Our next resolution, which is 25-1497 on page 463, is authorizing a budget adjustment to balance child support funds for fiscal year 2025. It's in the amount of $6,600. And this is a transfer from printing expenses into salaries and wages to cover this transfer. The last resolution is 25-1522. It's on page 466. And this is accepting the low-income energy efficiency outreach and engagement grant for $25,000. I'd like to move all of these forward. I need a second to discuss.
8 seconds.
Any discussion on any of these. Now, we do have one resolution, which was 25-1559 on page 148, concerning the travel policy. Board member had asked me about that. We had some discussion. I was just wondering if that board member had any other concerns at this moment. If so, please feel free to ask those questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair Gums.
Yes, Ms. Gums.
So, I would like to maybe take these in a backwards order. So there's 2 different, resolutions that I'm going to be making an amendment to. I would like to make an amendment on page 152, F. It does indicate, and I have spoke to some of the other board members about this. F indicates travel expense policy is administered by, and any exceptions must be approved by the auditor. My amendment would be, travel expense policy is administered by, and any exceptions must be approved by the county board. And I would ask for a second.
Point of order. Wouldn't it be more appropriate to remove that from the original motion and then handle it separately?
I think it's a good call, yes.
Yes, so we've got to then, sir, what we'll need to do is let's continue the vote and then take this one out separately.
Okay, actually, there are 3 that we're taking off of the consent agenda, the 2 ordinances and this one resolution.
Do you want to pass forward?
Well, actually, I think it should reflect the other one for the
Okay, and which
claims
one is
paid
that?
to. So B and C would be both
Okay.
addressed by that
Why
same
don't we
amendment.
take the vote on the ordinance or the resolutions that are passable right now, that we can move forward?
So real
and
quick,
address the others.
let's just make a motion to amend to remove B, C, and F from the motion, make a second, take the vote. Now you've removed B, C, and F.
Correct.
All the rest get passed through, and then you can make individual motions and you can make your amendments to the individual.
Okay,
items.
I don't know why F is coming off, but I'll gladly
I thought
make
you
that
said,
motion.
I thought you said F.
No,
It's F, but I'm glad, whatever you need me to remove, Mr. Leonard.
thank you, Ms. Gums. I think what we need to do is amend this to remove resolution 25-1558, which is number B on our agenda under finance, resolution number 25-1559, which is number C under our agenda, and then the 2 ordinances, which are D and E on the agenda. And those numbers are 25-1563 and 25-1562. We'd like those moved off the consent agenda.
Is that a
Making the motion, somebody second, and let's do
Gums
this.
will second that.
Okay,
second? Okay.
so then we just need a vote on that.
Okay, so let's take the vote on.
Madam Chair Surges,
Yes.
I've had my hand up. Bill, I would like item E removed as well.
That is one of them.
The items.
Removed, yes. So we are removing for clarification, B, C, oh, I'm sorry, right into my mic.
B, C,
D, C, D, and E. And E.
Yeah, we had that.
So there's no further discussion on the remaining items. Clerk, call the roll.
Madam Chair, this is on the amendment, so this is removing them.
This is removing these.
Just
four
remove
from
Oh,
the
this is
consent
removing
agenda.
these forward. So we have a-
All I have that Gums motion to amend to remove these. I don't have a second.
No,
Just a second.
Mr. Leonard moved to remove B, C, D, and E, and Mr. Surges seconded it.
Second, so we're ready to go. So this is to remove these items.
From the consent.
Allen,
On aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Trivia,
Caius,
Bias, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Gathman,
Yes.
Tepe,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Okay, very good. Now, you want a motion? and
Now I
second?
would like to move that all the other items excluding B, C, D, and E on the agenda are approved. And I need a
Roth
second
was,
on that.
Roth was second.
Russell, second. Okay, now we take the vote.
Are we on discussion on that?
Good, if you'd like to,
I
yes.
would. I just don't, again, on item E,
Oh, no, we're not talking
Already
about
off
item
the
E.
agenda.
We're just talking about all, passing through all the items except
F
item
to
number
the N
B,
and
C,
A.
D, and E.
I don't know why I'm so off today. I'm just not.
Not a problem.
That's fine.
New
All right,
year.
let's take the roll.
Your injury.
Just,
Stan, what we're
hit your hand?
voting upon? All right, let's go.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Trivia,
Caius,
Bias, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Leonard, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
yes.
Tepe, yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
So just for clarification, you just voted to move forward items A and then F through P.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you very much. Now, if I could, I'd like to ask the state's attorney on the two ordinances. If there are any questions on those, I
D
would
and-
like,
D and E.
like D and E, I would like to open that up for discussion. Mr. Surges.
Again, I just believe that E is a redundancy.
Wait a minute, we need a motion.
You need a
to talk-
motion in the
So I'm
second.
so sorry.
Gums will move.
That, would someone like to second it?
Gums will second.
Thank you,
Second,
Ms.
thank you.
Combs.
Now
For
discussion.
E,
Have it, Mr. Surges.
for E.
So
You're good
now
to
we're
go.
talking, we're going out of order. So E is first.
You just let me know.
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
I
Surges.
appreciate you guys today.
Sorry to our clerk.
But my concern, I have no concern with the pay raises on this. My concern is the notion of why has this department been broken out from the other departments when there's not an internal control unit here? And if the answer is just because we replaced it from this line item to that line item, I understand it. If not, I don't want any insinuation that there's an internal, because if there is an internal control, then let's say it. If there's not, then why isn't the staff being discussed in E already included in item D?
Because item E relates to the county board's office, Madam Chair's office. She's an elected official. Her.
But she's an elected official that's
Her-
no more than a department head who's in our control and not with internal controls, Bill. That's a hugely
We
different.
don't have control over elected officials. We give them an allocation and they decide how to spend their money. Department heads, we have more of a control on. This is just stating that in the county board office, there are some people that need to get a cost of living raise, which we are all in agreement on. It's a 3% raise. That amount, $9,631,
Not an issue.
is going to be transferred from contractual services to cover it. So there's no increase to the general fund.
Not an issue. And if the state's attorney tells me to power down, you're wrong on this, I am happy to do so. If, on the other hand, we're saying that the office is no more than a department head, and by saying all the non-union people are getting the raise, and that should already include these people, I don't understand this.
These are non-union departments that are all getting the raise.
And this is no more than a department, in my opinion.
Well, it's
Without the
actually an
internal
elected
control,
office.
without the internal control, that's the limitation,
Okay,
unless the state's attorney says otherwise.
all right. If I may, just a quick comment. 24 board members are in charge of this.
Correct.
So this should be pulled out because it's not under the control of a department head. It is in control of 25 elected officials. So I would agree with it being pulled out because as 25 elected officials gathered together as a board, you have control over this office.
Yeah, that, my understanding is the county board office and its employees are under the direct oversight of the county board, but that through whether it's history or prior resolutions or ordinances, whatever it may be, you have delegated the day-to-day authority to the chairwoman. And so, but at the end of the day, it's still your employees. So I don't know the justifications of pulling it separately. I don't know why that would be needed, but it's not an internal control reason.
Correct.
But it might be related to what Madam Chair says, but I'll defer to the county board on which way they want to do it.
Power down, Cliff. Power down.
Madam Chair, if I may, actually, Cliff, this was pulled out separately for transparency purposes. We want everybody to understand. So that was the reason.
Because it is our budget cumulatively. It's our budget.
Any other now, State's Attorney, do we need to do these for as a group, or do we need to do them separately off the consent agenda?
So these are ones that could theoretically go on consent if you wanted to. They're not changing 248. They're not doing fees and all kinds of other stuff. These are the classic things that can go through on a single reading. So it's up to you.
And if no one would have a problem with D and E, these are ordinances. They do have to go off consent agenda, don't they?
Do not have to.
Okay.
So the ordinance distinction is not quite right. The biggest issue, number one, is if you're ever changing your own rules, which is 248. The other issue is if you're issuing fines and fees that might be applicable to John Q. taxpayer. That's another reason. There's some other minor ones, but the big one is whenever you're changing 248. This does not do that.
Are there any other questions on D or E?
Yes, Ms. Combs.
No, I just wanted to comment on it. I think we established earlier, our internally, we put all the ordinances outside of the consent. I think that we established that earlier. So I don't know that this conversation is relevant.
So, all right, the only concern I have to respond to that is that that would have to lay then. We pass it through next week, and then it lays until the following month, which,
I'm
because
confused.
it's an ordinance change, correct?
No, so
No?
that's what I'm saying to you is, just because you're changing an ordinance doesn't mean it requires two readings. The ordinance changes that require two readings are you're changing 248, which is you're changing your own procedural rules,
Correct.
or you're adding fees or fines that could be applicable to John Q. taxpayer. There's some specific ones. It is not simply a matter of all ordinance changes require two readings. So this is one where you would not need a second reading.
Well, for transparency, then if there's no issue, depending on what the full board feels, let's just move it off consent and they can take the vote on it.
That's perfectly fine.
So does anybody have any other questions or concerns with item D or E, the two ordinances that are still on the agenda that need to be approved? And what Madam Chair is suggesting is that we move these to the non-consent agenda for transparency purposes, which I will move.
And Roth a second.
Thank you. Okay, do we, we're passing both D and E. Should we take them separately or can we pass them together, Mr. Frank?
You can pass them together.
Wonderful. Okay, with no further discussion on this, let's take the roll.
So I have that Leonard and Gums moved E. Now I have that Leonard and Roth are moving D and E. I'm confused.
I'll let Gums have both.
Doing D and E together at one time.
Okay, so we're not doing Leonard and Gums.
So let's make this real easy. Who did just D? Who were the two?
So,
Was Leonard and Roth, E was Leonard and Gums.
so,
Okay,
Madam
good.
Chair, if I may, to our clerk, for clarity, I think what you do is you remove, the first motion, Leonard and Gums, just strike that. Sorry about that. And then you can just move the second one, D and E, and I do apologize. I know we're frustrating.
It's good.
Is everybody clear? We're taking a vote on D and E to move it off consent for next week's discussion and agenda. All right, let's go. Take
Is
the
it,
vote, please.
the point of order, is that what the state's attorney was, Mr. State's Attorney?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr.
Are we
Frank,
sure?
Mr. Frank.
Is that what you had in mind?
We're taking D and E as a cumulative vote, one vote.
I agree,
G
but
and E.
did we have somebody remove their motion and second in relation to the first part of this?
That is accurate. That has
Yes,
just happened.
That was the direction I was heading.
So we
we are
have
good.
one vote for two ordinances, D and E.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby, Caius,
Guys, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman. Oh, she's gone. Okay. Surges, Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, finally, we have resolution item B and C on the agenda that I need a motion on that and a second. I'll move it. I need a second from someone.
Roth was second.
Roth will second, and then we need to have discussion on these two resolutions. And I believe Ms. Gomes probably has the concern that she would like to voice. So if you would, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Gums, I would like to take C for our clerk first. And I would like to make a motion which is on page 152. F, as in Frank, reads travel expense policy is administered by, and any exceptions must be approved by the auditor. My motion would be to change by the auditor to by the county board. And I would ask for a second.
Okay, hold on a second. I do need to.
I would ask for a second.
Caius, second.
Had to discuss why.
I don't know.
On item C.
It's 152.
Yes, I see, but I'm looking at the actual document here.
Yeah.
It's item C.
There we go. I found.
And I'm glad to give explanation, Madam Chair.
All righty. And then we have our auditor at the podium, so.
Sure, I will give explanation and that'll probably answer a lot of her questions. So I spoke to several board members about this. The issue I have is we don't want to require an independent elected office to be doing the work of the county board. If there are exceptions or there are policy questions, it is the job of this board as a body to resolve those exceptions and to vote as a county body. It is not and should not be put in the lap of another elected official. So we need that. And then also we are, and Mr. Leonard and I spoke about this, at some level, after we get through that conversation, at some level, we just need to make sure our county code is changed to reflect the 60 days because our county code currently says 90 days. However, we got to do that. We'll get there eventually, I think. I believe Mr. Leonard and I agreed that that shouldn't be a big problem to fix that. But our county code currently says 90, but we need to make it compliant with what we're doing here today. So those are my reasons for, and I'm glad to answer any more questions about that.
Oh, well, why don't we have Ms. Wegman speak to this?
Thank you so much. So I'm prepared to speak in regards to the resolution that's in front of you at the moment regarding the 60-day information in the travel policy to acknowledge the requirement for the compliance with the non-accountable plan and making these reimbursements taxable. That is what we've presented in regards to some recent transactions.
How does that relate to what Michelle's question is? I'm not
I think this is open for any discussion.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
So the information that's presented and being asked to be voted on by the board is specifically the two red lines that are in the policy. The other information that is currently in the travel policy was not presented for adjustments. The county board has been presented with a potential updated travel policy as a result of our recent audit. And I believe that it has been provided to the state's attorney for review in the future. When it comes to the information in F, there is a ordinance back into 97, 98. I don't remember specifically, but it does provide the auditor the authority to recommend for approval or rejection the bills, and then the board votes on them. So ultimately, yes, the board is already voting on any exception. What this F is doing is allowing the auditor to process the expense vouchers, which is what comes in front of us. We process it, we make sure the information is accurate and correct. If there is anything that is inaccurate, which we would consider an exception, we fix it, we get it fixed. It is then put in front of the board for a vote. So ultimately, everything is put in front of the board. You see it in the claims paid. If you want additional clarification or documentation, we certainly have the ability to provide that if it's requested. But it is part of my job to audit all claims against the county, and that's where this goes. It is part of my job.
Part of the job of the auditor.
I think, Madam Chair, I totally agree with everything you just said. The language as it reads, however, you should not have to approve anything. That should be the job of this county board. And you know, when we referred to the 96, 97 thing, absolutely. You go through, you process, you make recommendations to this board, and then we vote on it. This language is saying something very different. And this language is whoever ends up in the auditor's office should not have to do the job of the county board. That's our job.
But this is not the job of the county board.
Yeah, okay. I hear what you're saying, and hearing what you're saying, and let Mr. Leonard weigh in.
Yes, first of all, I agree with what Ms. Wegman has said, and I agree with what Ms. Gums is saying. I think what we need to do under Exhibit A, Item F, is put travel expense policy is administered by, and any exceptions must be processed by the auditor to be approved by the county board. Would that be acceptable?
While I understand the direction that you're trying to go, that is not what you would be putting into policy, because we would not be able to have the authority to approve the expense vouchers until after the board voted on them.
So you'd like to have the ability to approve this subject to the vote by the county board?
I'd like to get our employees paid as quickly as possible.
Right. And this would be the quickest way. Do you have a problem with that?
I stand by my motion.
And yes. we've
A
got two
language
comments.
issue here, and we're talking about approved by the auditor. Could we say approved by the auditor for submission to the county board?
It's the approved by.
Charge of expenses that makes you in charge of making sure they're in order before we vote on it.
So maybe I provide a little bit of clarification on what the actual process is, because I think if you understand the process better, you will understand where the obstacles are. So when an invoice is entered into by a department, it then comes to our office for a recommendation for approval or rejection. Once we approve the transaction, it doesn't go straight to the treasurer's office. A check is cut. It is then sent out to the employee or a vendor, depending on what type of payment we're making, whether it's a PEV or any other type of bill. And then it comes to the board for a vote. It has already been paid. So what you're asking to do is change the process to, it would come from my office to the board to a vote, then it would go back to the treasurer's office for payment, and then it would be sent out to the employee. So you're asking for at least another 30-day timeframe.
I'm not asking for any change. I'm just saying that the language is confusing. The language says you're approving the expense, done. And that there is a final approval by the board at some point, and that's.
Mike, use your microphone.
Yes.
I guess I'm trying to
becoming-
understand.
Becoming confusing.
I guess I'm trying to understand the context of this. The concern that you have is that essentially if there's ever any exception to the travel policy, that the auditor could approve it independently of the county board. Is that the concern?
It's not about could, it's about,
Well, would in this, with this language.
yes, with this language, that's what it says. And it's, nobody should have to do our job for us. That's our job.
Ms. Wegman, how many times has there ever been an exception to the travel policy that's ever been approved?
The only ones that we've had to make exception for are the county board's travel expenses.
That's kind of where I thought this was going. The easy way to maybe fix this is to eliminate the county board's travel from this language. Because as a staff member, the travel as a staff member,
It's not about,
I'm sorry, Michelle,
Sorry.
respectfully, let him finish, please.
so as a staff member, the process she described is the way it operates for us. When you guys do reimbursements, it always comes before the county board, and it sounds like that's what we want to make sure that continues on. So I think that's something that could easily be done with the language. That's not a problem. Give me 5 minutes, I can put something together for you. If, however, what you're saying though is that you want to approve all exceptions for all employees, then the language you are describing, Ms. Gums, would in fact do that. But I will also tell you that if there ever is an exception that's needed, that would be even minor. Now that employee is going to have to wait 30, 60 days plus to get reimbursed. So that is what you're looking at, and you need to decide. If this really is about the county board, then I would tell you to change it as it applies only to the county board. If the issue is larger than that, then the language proposal you're saying is correct. So just whichever way you want to go with it.
So does everybody understand what was just asked? And we've got some other, so if you can just hold and let the other board members speak. Yes, ma'am.
So,
And
so
then-
I understand Michelle's question. I understand Penny's concern. I have a question that I think maybe is a question for the state's attorney, or maybe it's us. When it says travel expense policy is administered by the auditor, does the auditor actually administer the travel expense policy? Isn't that the county board's job to administer policy? Because to me, that's where the problem is with this, not with the end things about her being able to take care of the immediacies. My problem is who's actually the one who is administering the travel expense policy, because I thought all policy was administered by the county board.
So, I mean, administer is probably a little bit more of a expensive word for what I think it really is. She has oversight. She oversees to
Oversight,
make
manage.
sure, she oversees to make sure that the policy is being followed. But administer also means that. So it's really up to you on how forceful of a word you want there. If that's the concern though, that's not the impression I've gotten, but maybe that is the concern. I thought the issue was the exceptions being approved by the
Well,
auditor.
that was, but I have an issue with the word administered by, because it's oversight and it's not administration.
Yeah, I mean, it's either words would work for what is currently the status quo.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I
So
answer that?
Is there a motion to change that word?
Yes.
Administer. the
No,
word
there's a
adminis-
motion, and Guns, if I may explain, the reason I didn't parse administer or approve is because the whole thing is, it's not about the county board. It is about our policy making and our voting on the policy. I have a problem with one, but I also have a problem with the administered now that it's an issue. And that solution is is simply the word auditor to county board.
So back to Mr., and I recognize Ms. Molina next, but quickly back to what was discussed by Mr. Frank. Is it the will of this board to approve the expenses, travel expenses of all people here, employees here in Kane County?
That's what we do.
Well, you do, but you do as far as the expenses go. How many? We just passed $15 million expenses. That's what we approved of the $15 million of plus expenses that we just approved through the finance committee, number A. That is included in that. So do you want to separate all of that out and vote on if the recorder goes on a trip or the clerk goes on a trip, the sheriff goes on a trip?
Those are
just the
elected
county board,
officials.
the county board. Or the county employees.
No, ma'am, I don't want to confuse it here. This is just exceptions.
If I may, you're saying it's just exceptions, but it also says the travel expense policy is administered and you're trying to change that as well. So it would be all travel expense vouchers from all departments, not elected officials, coming in front of you to vote before the checks would be cut.
Mhm. That is accurate.
If you change,
No.
no, that's not how that would work. So right now, you're looking at two different clauses, all that finish with the auditor. So right now, the travel expense policy is administered by the auditor. That can be changed if you want to change it to the travel expense policy is overseen by the auditor. Or you could change separately, the travel expense policy, or sorry, any exceptions to the travel expense policy must be approved by the auditor or by the county board. I'll be honest with you, I wish this was written a little bit more bifurcated, where there's two separate sentences, which we can change if you want. But you have two separate issues that are before you. So we have a motion and a second, correct, on yours?
And an amendment, yes.
That's what yeah, I'll be honest with you. If we're dealing with the one right now, we should only be dealing with the one on the discussion.
Correct.
And then if Ms. Juby wants to bring up a separate issue, she can, but we need to deal with the first issue.
Okay, all right. So your first issue again, can you
So
repeat that?
there's a motion and a second for my amendment, which changes by the auditor to by the county board. That's what I'm motioned or amended, and that's what we're talking about.
All right, Ms. Molina, you have a comment on that?
Well, I had a comment originally on this whole issue. The only thing that should have been before us was what's redlined. I believe everything else should go back to committee to review and have the state's attorney look at all the other verbiage. So I think at this point, we're just going in circles and we should let the committee decide what else needs to go on this. So regarding the amendment, I would not approve the amendment. I would request that portion go back to committee and that we stay on the red line version, which is, I believe, because of the IRS changes, was what was needed and what went to committee originally.
So are you making a motion to table this and put this back to the committee? Not
No.
table it, I'm sorry, to move it back. to
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move this back to committee.
Is there a second?
Surges seconds.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion and a second to move this back to the committee, Finance Committee. Roll call, please, or do discussion.
You can have discussion, but it's a priority motion, so it has to move quickly.
Yeah, it's got to vote.
No discussion, roll call. This is to move this back to the Finance Committee.
Alan,
Just to move it.
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Tyus,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Under no.
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Tepe,
Mr. Tepe?
Abstain, okay. Williams? Roth?
Roth, yes.
Moves back to committee with one no.
Okay, so that's been moved.
We have one more resolution to move forward. I'd like to move, it's item B on our agenda, resolution 25-1558. And this is approving the personal expense voucher reimbursement request for 6 individuals in the total amount of $1,270.85. So I'll move it. I need a second on that.
Roth, a second.
Madam Chair Gums.
Yes, Ms. Gums.
Gums, I would like to make a motion to amend and strike the third whereas until we can resolve that back in committee. I would ask for a second.
What page is that on, Ms. Gums?
It's on page 132.
Thank you.
And it is the whereas the travel policy provides what I just read before. I would motion to strike that since we're going to be reviewing that in committee.
2 seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on this?
Sure.
Yes.
What?
So it was requested and seconded that when you look at resolution 25-1558, the following is removed. Whereas the travel policy provides that the travel expense policy is administered by and exceptions must be approved by the auditor.
So I want to get rid of that because we're going to discuss it in committee.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think Ms. Molina is correct. I think what we should do on this resolution too, send it back to committee.
I would reject that, Madam Chair.
All right, hold on. We've got the
I
auditors.
think we have a timeline on this one.
Yes, we have to pay these people, with all due respect. I'm going to recognize Ms. Wegman, please.
With all due respect, based on the current policy that is standing in the county, the verbiage in the third whereas is accurate as of today. My request would be to approve this resolution based on the verbiage that has been presented to you so that we can get these employees paid. Luckily, based on sending back the previous resolution back to committee, you will have a new resolution with reimbursement request expense vouchers next month because we have more outstanding. So if you'd prefer us to remove that line for the one going forward, we certainly can do that, but based as of current policy today.
Yes, and that point well taken, point well taken.
Yeah.
Point of information.
Yes.
Caius, from Mr. State's Attorney, in the whereases, this is a whereas, right?
Correct.
Is this really, are we voting on the whereases? We're really voting on the now therefores, right? Isn't that the thing, the action item?
So your assumption is correct, but you also are approving the whereases when you approve them, but you can make changes to them. But the order is correct. The standing language of the county is in fact what it states. So if you want to take it out for purely purposes, your own purposes, that's perfectly fine. But it can go forward. It is valid and legal. to
I'll
go ahead and
remove
approve
my
this.
motion,
Still
Madam
enforce-
Chair.
You're going to.
Gums will remove my motion.
Good.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Juby. Okay, so we are now taking a vote on the resolution as presented, 25-1558 with no further discussion on that item. Call the roll. Oh,
We'll move it. Who was the second on that? Roth?
Roth, yeah.
move it as is, as presented. Thank you. All right, let's take the vote.
Allen?
Allen, aye.
Bates?
Bates, yes.
Gums?
Gums, yes.
Juby?
Shuby, aye.
Caius?
Caius, yes.
Leonard?
Leonard, yes.
Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Linder?
Linda, yes.
Paulina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez?
Sanchez, yes.
Surges?
Yes.
Pepe?
Yes.
Williams? Roth?
Roth, yes.
Lovely.
May I?
As we move forward through this agenda, I will have just a general request for the board. These are important changes that we are talking about, and they're of great merit. But I would urge us to consider having this lengthy discussion at the committee level before we bring it to the executive committee and the full board, because these are structural changes that we're addressing. And if we're going to, unless it's an unusual thing, and absolutely, the full board, the executive board is in charge with approving the submissions by their committees. But if there's issues that are regarding language changes or reflection on what may or may not be in our current code or ordinance or new state law, it's wonderful to be handled at the committee level. So robust discussions and
I'm not on the
frequent
committee
discussion
though,
can
so.
happen. But I'm just to a point, just to a point. Yes, sir.
And to your point, an observation to the board, the auditor was so courteous to us as to provide the entire policy because most of us probably haven't read it in a long time. But in reality, if she had only presented that paragraph with the red letters in it, we wouldn't have had this last 40 minutes of conversation and the result would be the same.
Okay, okay. A good suggestion. All right, so let's go on. You are done. Congratulations.
I have nothing else, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
The next one is Ms. Molina.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Judicial and Public Safety Committee met on December 11th, and we have one proclamation we are requesting placed under Chairman comments, and that is a proclamation recognizing the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Kane County Emergency Services and Disaster Agency, now known as the Kane County Office of Emergency Management. And I will move that and request a second.
Williams seconds.
Okay, any discussion on this celebration? None. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
I.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Yes, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges, Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Yes.
This is very good. Ms. Strathman is not here. Who's taking that up?
She asked me to. do
Mr.
it.
Roth,
Thank you.
please.
The resolution is on page 470. It's resolution TMP 25-1544, authorizing the agreement with the Illinois Department of Human Services for the Illinois Rapid Rehousing Program in state fiscal year 2026. I'll make a motion if I can get a second. Mr. Surges, any discussion?
Okay, any discussion on this at all?
I think everyone's worn
Call
out.
the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
I.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges, Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams, Roth.
Yes.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. Tepe, you are going to match the Finance Committee.
Well,
What's your-
thank you, Madam Chair. I have 14 resolutions and 2 ordinances. And I would like to do this in much less time than the
Sarcasm
Finance
now.
Committee did. Is there any of these items that anyone has questions on?
The one thing I will ask, should we pull the ordinance and discuss those separately?
Okay,
No.
then I will proceed ahead with moving all of the resolutions.
You can also do the ordinances.
Okay, I'll proceed ahead with doing all of them. All right. First off is a resolution approving the appropriation of the county's engineer's salary and authorizing the transfer of funds therefore. This is in the amount of $180,000 and it's in budget. Resolution approving the fiscal year 2026 county maintenance motor fuel tax appropriation in the amount of $4,745,267, also in the budget. In fact, they're all in the budget, so I just won't say that anymore. Resolution approving fiscal year 2026 county maintenance motor fuel tax appropriation in the amount of $476,970. A resolution approving adopt a highway applicants. We have 1 new and 1 renewal. Resolution approving a contract for the purchase of one Case WX 175 wheeled excavator for the Kane County Division of Transportation in the amount of $370,463. A resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the state of Illinois for Phase 3 construction, engineering, and construction for Kirk Road at Douglas Road in the amount of $1,304,995. A resolution approving a funding agreement between the County of Kane and PACE for the Ride in Kane program in the amount of $3,140,000. A resolution approving an appropriation for Chicago Metropolitan Agency for planning to support planning and programming services in the amount of $60,947.16. Resolution approving an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement between the County of Kane and Village of Carpentville Road for access to Randall Road from Huntley Road. This is just merely access only. An ordinance approving an alteration of speed limits within Caneville Township on various roads. And an ordinance approving an alteration of speed limits within Caneville Township and Virgil Townships on Francis Road. Resolution approving an engineering services agreement with HR Green Inc. of Aurora, Illinois for the 2026 structure safety inspections in the amount of $578,038. Resolution approving a Phase 3 construction engineering services agreement with Hampton, Lindsay, and Renwick of Elgin, Illinois for the Kirk Road over the Union Pacific Railroad project in the amount of $3,506,431. Resolution approving the acquisition of real property for the Randall Road at intersection and Canadian National Road grade separation improvement in the amount of $70,000, which is a negotiated settlement. Resolution approving the acquisition of real property for the Randall Road at Hops Road intersection and Canadian National Road grade separation improvement in the amount of $30,800. Also a negotiated agreement. Resolution approving the acquisition of real property for Kirk Road over Union Pacific Railroad Company Bridge Construction Project in Geneva. Okay, in the amount of $300,000. A resolution approving the acquisition of real property for the Kirk Road over Union Pacific Railroad Company Bridge Construction Project in Geneva in the amount of $75,000. I move all of these items and ask for a second.
Roth will second.
Any discussion? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Ruby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe,
Deputy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Mr. Leonard, please take note.
So before we leave transportation, I would be remiss if I did not recognize and let you all know that a longtime township supervisor, Ronald Johnson, passed away directly, surprisingly, right after the Christmas holidays. Went to his wake on Monday. The funeral was on Tuesday. And I would like to commend our Department of Transportation for showing him the proper respect because many of the townships gathered together, as did Kane County, and had a parade of their their equipment before the church ceremonies that happened on Tuesday. So thank you for all of that. I spoke with his daughter at the wake, and they were very grateful for this honor. So I've known Ron. This first, I was telling Cliff, the first politician I've met here in Kane County when I moved here 26 years ago now. And he was always a loyal friend, a good advisor throughout the years, great support of the township of St. Charles. And he will be missed. So God bless Ron. So, all right, so much for that. I hate to see good people leave. Yeah. Transitions happen. All right, I do believe is that the end of our consent agenda? Indeed it is. All right, so who's going to, Mr. Roth, you want to take number A and B?
Yes, I can. Number A is on page 737, only 3 pages to go. Resolution number TMP 26-001, our first resolution of the new year. Approving and authorizing the termination of contract for distribution of Kane County property tax bill. I'll make a motion if I could get a second. Thank you, Mr. Surges. Any discussion?
Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Juby?
I just have a question. Do we know why we're terminating them? And is there another contract that's going to come out and pay our property tax bills? We don't know that, or?
The presentation was that they were going out to bid.
Going out,
All
yeah,
right,
that
correct.
was.
Yeah.
So then maybe I need to change my question a little bit.
Okay.
Will we be within that time frame? So we're going to have a new vendor to do it before we have to actually disperse our tax bills? Okay.
I would hope so.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Well, just to share with you, our treasurer made a presentation at the finance committee. He wants to change the tax bills and he's going to add a chart onto those tax bills. And by doing that, he's going to be using a separate company. So this is canceling the contract with the original company.
Okay, so this is about this is about the pie chart? Okay, thank you.
Along with all of the contact information to the municipalities or taxing districts.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? Please call the roll.
Please.
Allen,
aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
yes.
Juby,
Juby,
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges, Pepe,
Happy yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Okay, the next is on page 739, proclamation number TMP -26-007. The actual proclamation is on the next page. Do I need to read it or just the title? Proclamation recognizing America's 250th anniversary commemoration in Kane County. Is that sufficient? I'll make a motion if I get a second.
Seconds.
Thank you. Any discussion on the 250th celebration? Hearing none, clerk call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Caius,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe,
Happy yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. And
You're
how
welcome.
Very fortunate we all are to be here celebrating Kane County's 190th birthday. I mean, that is, whoa. That is pretty significant. And I think all of us will be here for 200th. Maybe not here, but certainly here. We can be welcoming for that party as well. I see no need for executive session. So it's, is that correct, Mr. Frank?
That is correct, but I will give everyone fair warning. Next week will be a long one for our executive session.
We're having a long one.
Pete, thanks.
All right, bring some snacks in
just a
celebration of the
messenger.
190th birthday. Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, thank you. Karina and I had spoken before the meeting. I was made aware this morning that a longtime trustee from the village of Gilbert, somebody that I would consider a founding father of the village, served for years, him and his wife both, Gordy Mueller, passed away. The town of Gilbert will forever be indebted to Gordy. I'm talking generational years of service, and his family is intertwined in the fabric of who Gilbert's is, and condolences to him and Darlene and their family.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For Mr. Johnson and the trustee from Gilbert's, if you can get me that information, and I will get a couple of bereavement cards, and I will pass those out amongst the board next week. All right, for your speak, just for our recognition. All right, it is my duty, because I'm supposed to report about my very insightful trip to Palo Alto, to Stanford with NACO. It was a small group who was invited, the county chairs of a diverse amount of counties, from large counties, 1,000,000+ people throughout the country, to smaller counties of 250,000 and lower. It's very thoughtful. This is the second time I've gone, and it is a very worthwhile expenditure of the county's resources. The speakers at the meeting included Condoleezza Rice, General H.R. McMaster, who is a national security advisor under Trump's first presidency, and General Jim Mattis, who for 2 years was the Secretary of Defense under Donald Trump's first presidency. So they were able to bring very interesting perspective of what's going on from their previous role to where they are now. Now, the one thing that I have to comment upon all three speakers, Mr. Mattis was much more current on his perception, but Condoleezza Rice, with all due respect to her, and General McMaster had gotten into academic considerations and had seemed to have lost touch with reality. But that is the duty of an academic, to really think more high policy level. There was some very active discussion that happened between myself with Condoleezza Rice, and then Tony Preckwinkle with General McMaster, both independently, that really dominated much of their presentation regarding their perception of what is going on currently with national immigration enforcement. That was one. And there was also one on the interpretation of biases and perceived biases with minorities who are serving in the military. So that was the second one. There were thoughtful, lengthy discussions, and everybody really fully supported in these. We also did what we called one of our activities was a war game. And that war game had to do with the takeover of a data center and how we were going to protect and supply the energy needed for a data center to keep operations going. There was the first time we were the experimental group for this war game, and that war game was going to be shared, again, academically, with other similar types of groups of civic leaders to see what their results are, and that'll be brought forward in the future to a report on NACO. One of the other things that I really enjoyed is, oh, here it is right in front of me, is they provide the counties who are participating an in-depth analysis from their vantage point of what is happening here in Kane County, and obviously Cook County, et cetera, got their separate report. And because I am always very empathetic to the needs of our families, one of the things that concerns me is that there is and I'll have Jane make a copy of this for you, scan it, and you can see it and read it, there is a high level of poverty for our children here in Kane County, which I don't think any child should have to live in poverty. But of course, everybody's financial circumstances are quite different. But that could be something going forward, Mr. Leonard, as we go through finance, to see how we can possibly work to help alleviate that, to make sure that the parents, we can work on that with the Economic Development Corporation, as well as Workforce Development, to make sure that the parents have every opportunity to have good paying jobs here in Kane County, so we can relieve that systemic problem that simply taxpayers' dollars cannot alleviate. We can help, but we cannot alleviate that. And that's the reality with that. But there is another issue that is out of our control, but is something, again, we have to be very empathetic about and understanding, is that there are a great many people here in Kane County, and this probably number may increase because of the reduction of support unless the federal government takes it on of the American Care Act. People are not going to have the kind of health care that they had before because they simply cannot afford it. You may know neighbors who have been impacted by this or family members. What that means for us, for Kane County, is that people who have emergencies, and this is what the whole thing happened before this was initiated, would go to the hospital, and the hospital would have to provide services. So our hospitals are not-for-profit hospitals, can be over-challenged with providing adequate services for this. So they may be going to VNA. They also may be going to, well, our health department representatives are not sitting here anymore, or is Cheryl, but they may turn to our own health department for increased services. Cook County, because they already have a hospital and other, Page County, Lake County has services, actually direct healthcare services that they provide. Kane County does not, but that may be something that we, again, have to consider as a board, if that is something that we're going to be looking at to provide at least some kind of healthcare services if we feel that we need to, because this is quite important. And having a healthy county for our children and for people in Kane County is critically important, just like having an availability to housing, as well as making sure that there is an opportunity to work. So that's the insights I got from this, and the rest of it is just really fascinating data. So I will have her scan that in and send it to you. This program is well worth the money and the knowledge that can be used for this as we go through the NACO is an important opportunity for all of us to participate in. So thank you for giving me this.
And we charged our second unit for today.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Ms. Flo
Somebody's
had to go.
live. Somebody's live.
Who's that? Oh, who's that? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So thank you for this opportunity. Yes.
Madam Chair, on that subject, at last Finance Committee, when we were discussing the travel policy, Ms. Ruby had made a mention of something that I know we talked about and we passed, but we never actually discussed the avenue of going about it, which is when a county board member decides to travel and they have to fill out an evaluation form and get approved for. I reviewed that policy again in December after we were talking about it, and I realized that there is no avenue other than for us to fill out the form. I'd like to have it in writing kind of what our policy is. I mentioned in November, and as did Ms. Gumbs, that we will be traveling to NACO for the legislative conference. We're both on different committees approved by NACO. But this form I filled out and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with it. Is this then to be a resolution to be approved by our committee? Or what avenue does this go about? Because we both mentioned it and we kind of just said, hey, you guys, we're going, thanks for letting us go. And then I realized that there's a form that needs to be filled out, but this policy doesn't state how the approval process goes about then.
It is my understanding, the procedure for this is that you fill this out and then you bring it to the committee that would be under the jurisdiction. So let's just say it goes to the executive committee.
Right. So I fill it out. I have it. How do I get it to you and does it get posted? Because then that brings up some security concerns that we've talked about in the past with, providing exact details as to where elected officials are for conferences. And I know you maybe have been aware of these webinars, but I know some of us have been aware of webinars when it comes to security concerns regarding elected officials and traveling and stating exactly where you're going to be staying ahead of time versus afterwards.
Okay, that I do not believe is critical to this because I have just filled this out. And what the intent is, and we can clarify again. And hopefully our state's attorney here can help us out with this, is that you presentation, I want to go to this conference. And here's the conference is going to be in New Orleans, because they're going to have the NACO conference in New Orleans. It's approximately going to be costing $1,000 to attend. Do I have your permission to go? This is the budget, because you have a refined budget. Okay, and the board gives a voice vote to approve the opportunity for you to go.
So then it needs to be on the agenda if there's going to be a voting mechanism. I guess that's my avenue question, because we haven't done this. This was approved back in May, and this has not,
We've not.
we create a policy, but we don't create an avenue as to how to complete the policy.
Procedure.
It's the procedure. So I guess that's what my question is.
So when is your trip?
February 21st.
All right, so we're going to do a little catch up on this. So we have time with if we can be agreed upon this, because we're doing a catch up. If you can present who's going to be going to that at the February Executive Committee to give you the authorization to go.
Well,
But I already.
there's
know-
already expenditures out, so.
Understand that, but we're just, I think we can agree that we're going to start with this procedure. And off you go. And then you present the receipts as, of course, in the normal fashion and with the review. Have you seen the paperwork, correct?
I mean, the paperwork, it's very simple, but
Very simple.
and the form itself doesn't have the estimates on it. It's only on the policy, which again, I think the form needs to be revised, because the form doesn't ask for estimate of how much you're looking to get reimbursed for. It just states the reason why you're going and when and where you're going.
I do have,
I'm in concurrence with what you're saying. I complete concurrence.
I actually think that, I don't know what committee we should handle this at, but it needs to be addressed because for sure, but actually there was something in that form that's to be filled out that I had honestly not ever thought about. And that is the security situation. And I think that we should discuss that.
Okay. The basis.
I'm not sure where to discuss it though.
To believe the intent was financial, not where it's going to be going and what hotel you're staying at. We don't need to know that. The board does not need to know that. That is between your receipts and the auditor. Now, they may have a hotel that is, they're going to reserve a special room, but we all know that these large conferences, if you're not immediate making that reservation, you may have to stay at the Days Inn, which is 4 miles away, which has happened to us, all of us from time to time, if you go on these conferences. So we don't know exactly where you're staying. And that is not the intent of this. It's just to give a base estimate of what the conference is about, the value of.
Yeah, my ask is just if we can have something in writing indicating exactly what the responsibility is of the board members, other than filling out this form, if we need to get it to the county board in time to be placed on the agenda. If it is going to be a voting matter, then it needs to be placed on the agenda if there's going to be a vote placed on it, is my understanding.
So what I'll try to do.
So if we can have the state's attorney's office kind of weigh in on that, just to make sure that because we're creating a policy and we can't just create a policy by the
You need a
fly.
procedure.
We need a procedure to go with it. That's my ask.
So perhaps we have 1 week, right?
So for purposes of this one, okay, so this came up before, obviously, with some of the DC trips that were taken by members before. As I recall it, and please correct me if I'm recalling this incorrectly, but the discussion of pre-approval was thoroughly discussed and kind of summarily kind of shoved aside for a reimbursement process where we kind of said, look, we don't want to require pre-approval because of the timing and all that stuff. But the person needed to come back and explain the justification. There is a risk associated, obviously, with that for the person taking the trip to front end this thing, especially a high expense cost. I think for purposes of the fact that we're kind of a little bit behind the 8 ball in this, we could easily put this up for a discussion item next week. The board could weigh in on if they have any concerns. And while you can't take a vote, I think the people who are attending can get a pretty clear idea of whether or not this will be approved by the board or not. And give them kind of some semblance of what a form, the classic consensus is. And if that person's not willing to then, if you're not willing to take the trip based on what you're hearing, then you have a separate problem. But if everyone's basically like, yeah, this sounds great, no problems whatsoever, then I think there's more assurances. To be able to give you a formal pre-approval right now would require a resolution that I would need to have to be reviewed this week. Madam Chair would have to put it on the board and the board would have to vote on it on Tuesday. So if you want to go that direction, somebody get me a resolution and we'll turn it around.
Yeah, my question was because that conversation happened in, I think, March. In May, we added to the policy, the travel policy, specific guidelines for county board members and the chair if they're going to be traveling. That was passed in May.
So I don't recall there being language that required pre-approval.
Well, it's in the travel policy. So
Okay.
we were just looking at page 152.
Maybe we
Page
got it.
153 has the county boards.
153, can you pull that up? Blair, 153, please. Which
I'm
one?
sorry, 154, Exhibit A.
Travel. Number one.
bless you.
So the home committee could be this committee for the board members. Or it could be, it's for a chair, you'd have to get approval from your own committee.
The committees I'm on aren't GPS related. I'm on the NACO committee, but it's not GPS. Yeah. No, I mean like.
Okay, so
But the form was never included in this, in the exhibit.
yeah, so there's two things going on, right? There's formal policy processes that have to exist for you to be able to kind of do this, but the county board always has authority to throw out their own policies. So if it's a timing issue, is what I'm kind of gathering from this, obviously I'm walking into this like the last second, but if it's a timing issue, you can get some level of consensus. We could do a resolution that allows for this specific trip to be approved. And it walks off of policy. You can walk off policy as a board anytime you want if there's a timing issue here. But otherwise, I would generally agree. Yeah, you need to follow this policy. Whatever the form is created and defined as travel purpose and evaluation form, if it's not been created, then somebody needs to get it created real quick. But it doesn't sound like even if that happened, you're going to be able to get it in time. So the easiest way around this is to just simply get this before the board or do a consensus thing that says the board will walk away from the policy
And
on this specific trip.
because it says committee, can we, since we have two chairs, can't this committee just approve it now?
The last sentence of B1 says if it's not clear what committee is, such travel shall be pre-approved by the executive committee. So why don't we just,
Can't do it now.
well, we can, it's not on
You
the
can't do-
agenda.
Yeah, you can't do
They
it now.
can't do it
It's not
now.
on the agenda.
All right, so we can bring it to the board. Let's
Could
do
we
it.
just, can someone just make a motion to put it on the agenda for next week's committee of the whole?
No, no.
On the
that's-
agenda, but Madam Chair can
I
do
can
it
put
through
it
her
on
own
the agenda.
discretion.
I can put
So
it on
what my question to you is, do you want confirmation that the board is going to pay you back? Or are you good with like even just like a consensus kind of thing?
No, my ask was to make sure that we are following the proper guidelines. So I wanted to know what the avenue is if I am choosing to go on a conference, because there is another conference that I will be attending. What if I do want reimbursement? What am I supposed to be doing as a county board member? Because this doesn't really give me, it doesn't say here that it needs to be placed on the agenda and there needs to be a formal vote. It just needs to be approved by the committee. And in these past 6 months, we have just verbally said, we're going to be going on this. Do I have your consent to go?
Oh.
So back in November, Michelle and I did that and we received consent from the executive board. Madam Chair did that, but we weren't following this.
I would agree. If you need actual approval pursuant to the language, consensus does not account for approval.
So I'd like this to be reviewed and then if there needs to be, I'd just like this to be looked at. I guess when we're going to send this back to committee, I'd like this to be looked at and for us to have a specific avenue of, does this need to be approved by the committee? it doesn't need to be on the agenda, what needs to be on the form, just so that everybody is aware. It's not for me specifically, but I think anybody who wants to go on a conference should be made aware of what their responsibilities are prior to deciding to go.
So we'll happily look at it wholesale. What I can definitively tell you though is if it's requiring approval, well, that would because of the nature of a legislative body, it would necessitate an actual formal vote, which would require to be on the agenda. So to answer that question.
Be pre-approved by the executive committee. And then after, so the opportunity to travel is approved by exec. The approval of the expenses is approved by the board, the submitted expenses. And that's pretty much, we've done that pretty loosely through exec.
That's what we're trying to tighten up though, is the loosely part.
I agree, I agree. But the second part of it has always been approved of by the full board, and that has gone through the proper processes once your receipts are put forward.
But this should stop, Madam Chair, this should start in the home committee, if there is one.
If there is one, if there is one.
So home committee to exec to the
So let's
board.
say you're taking off Mavis to a conference on environmental issues, wherever that may be, and you're going to New York City. You would discuss that with your home committee. You would excuse yourself from that vote. Obviously, you'd have to recuse yourself. The vote would go forward, then would go to the exec. So it's just preparation is going to be needed.
But what committee's handling the policy itself? Is that Human Services?
Or finance. Where did this come through? Did this come through HR? Cliff, did
Is
this
it,
come
I
through
can't
you?
remember if it was Human
But
Services.
this went through Human Services in April.
Okay, so you're in charge.
Amy and I just texted her and said,
Let's
"Knock
have,
back down if you're still in the building, if you're not out to lunch."
okay, this shouldn't take too long to
Nope.
clarify. Okay,
can
very
get it.
good.
Thank you.
And I thought just so, I mean, and I'm not positive, but I thought the exhibit, the document was absolutely attached because somebody originally said it wasn't there. And we literally went out of our way to make sure it was there.
You're
The
correct.
form is attached. Yeah, yeah, the exhibit is on there. And then it was emailed to all of us last week. So, yeah.
And could we take a look at the form? It's a little bit more substantive,
Who would you
please.
like me to call?
What,
Who that
just
says,
send it to me.
this is the
Send it
part
to
of the
me.
form that I don't like this part. This is the concern, because I'm
Have you seen the form?
Yeah, I filled out the form. The form,
did
the
you?
form is just,
concerned that I'm most.
yeah. So but the security concern, yeah, I mean, my concern is just that we're letting people know ahead of time. But there's nothing on there that I need to put, like, I don't need to, the form doesn't say any specifics as to the hotel you're staying. It just
at all.
asks for, it doesn't ask for any monetary. There's no financial request on the form. Just why do you think you should go? So,
Here she is.
I mean, it's so the form itself isn't a security concern. My concern is that if it's going to be taken to a vote and I'm sitting here and then you're going to ask me, well, where are you going to be staying? How long are you going to be staying there? How much are you asking for? At that point, it's open for you're opening the discussion. And that's my concern is that because
Myrna,
it
I
needs to go to a
totally
vote.
understand and am sympathetic and don't know how to make that work, but the think tank, we can come up with something.
Well, yeah, no,
Yes.
I think that the question is that if it's going to be a formal vote, that opens up the formal vote for all these other questions that can then lead to some type of security concern.
Why can't it be an executive session type of thing where it's held?
And why do we have to know the name of the hotel?
Yeah, why? I'm,
Well, we don't, but if you're asking me for money, I can ask you whatever questions I want. That's my point, because it's an open discussion vote.
yeah, but if we can.
So
find
maybe-
some way to make that.
Maybe it
not
doesn't need to be
public
that.
Until,
Yes.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can I clarify? Are you suggesting that it shouldn't be a roll call and more of a consensus? Or,
Well, that's why I think we should look at it. I don't think
Okay.
it should be, I don't think it should be a roll call and then another roll call a month later. I think that's, you're kind of overdoing it. But I think we should look at it because if it is going to be a roll call, then I would say we would be open up to security questions because then any board member can ask me and I can say, no, I'm not going to answer that, but I don't think I
can it be
should.
this simple? John, 1 second. Can it be this simple? Anybody with a concern, can you just blast a quick email? Cliff, this is the piece I hate about it. This is what my concern is. And let's aggregate those and then think tank will come up with something before next we meet. Is that fair?
That's a great, yeah.
Next Human Services meeting or
We can do by next week
Tuesday,
if you want.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me ask the quick question. Do we have any pending travel that's needs to be dealt with?
They're
Well,
going out in February.
February 20th is.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay, so again, you can walk away from your travel policy anytime by voting for something. So if you put a resolution together for approval, hold on.
But they've already
You-
gotten,
Yeah.
they've
So,
already gotten
okay, well,
consensus.
but that's what I'm asking. Is there any issue right now where you are waiting on travel that needs to get pre-approval right now? So do we have time is my question. Do we have time to work this through?
I think we need the time to work it through. So I don't think anything is, it's not in a hurry, but I think it behooves us to do this now because we should have done it in May, is my point.
Completely agree. But
So-
the impression I got was that there is literally trips
Pending,
going on in February and that we needed to do something in January. Is that not the case?
No, it's not.
Mm,
We got consensus.
They have
Okay.
consensus.
Our chair.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, and we'll talk about the form. We'll talk about the form. All right, before we go into legislative,
Thank you, Jamie.
there is going to security, and I don't know the bill's name, but I have access to the bill, that allows elected officials, because of security purposes, to use your campaign money if you feel you need to put a home security device in your residence. And it is allowed because of break-ins, because of concerns, obviously.
Cameras.
So that is being allowed. I have that information on my desk, so that'll be something that perhaps Michelle can look into as well. For elected officials to allow, if you so choose to, but it's your campaign money. Obviously, your personal money, your home money is your choice to do it. But if you so have any interest in doing that, your campaign funds can help pay for that security. Okay, Michelle?
Thank you. So right now, Gum's here. We are compiling some fiscal year 26 legislative agendas, but there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about that are anticipated. It'll be a slow end of second 104th, just so you're aware legislatively, because it's an election year anyways. There'll be a lot of conversation and potential bills dropping for the data center moratoriums, whatever kind of thing that you can think about when it comes to data centers. There's going to be a lot of that coming through the state of Illinois. I don't know what everybody feels about that, but we'll open that up for conversation in legislative to see if we want to take a position on that at the state level. It is obviously a big deal for many municipalities that have these issues for their residents. So I think it's worth a thorough discussion by this board because it will affect or potentially could affect people in our community. So that's something we're keeping an eye on. Additionally, dropping last night, as you are aware, the state of Illinois is engaged in much litigation with the federal government about some of our funding. That will continue to go forward, and we'll see what ends up. However, just yesterday, the administration, the Trump administration determined that the Democrat states will not be getting their funding to the tune of $10 billion. For the state of Illinois, that is $1 billion of federal funding for our child programs. So he has determined that he will not be sending those dollars to us. And that again trickles into our communities and the programs that will no longer be funded. I suspect the other states that are included in this rejection of released funds will file another lawsuit, and then we'll have to go through that process, and there'll probably be an injunction and all of these things happen. It is unfortunate, but for us, it's looking like it is a $1 billion amount for the state of Illinois. So what that looks like for King County, I don't have those numbers available, but we'll dig into that and see what it looks like. And then I would hope that this county board would support any, we potentially will draft a resolution in support of fully funding our programs here in the state of Illinois. And I would look forward to that resolution coming from the legislative committee at some point. Corinne, you already discussed the security issues. It's unfortunate that we had to pass that law, but those are available through our Illinois Association of County Board Members website, newsletter, the ISACO newsletter, all available to you. Also NACO. Thank you, Madam Chair, for attending. It's important that we show up at these things because, you know, we learn a lot of things and we can share a lot of things, and it directly benefits our constituencies. I don't have any other good news other than that $1 billion removal. And I have, to date, I do not have any proposals for any legislative issues that we don't have anybody coming to the legislative committee asking for bills to be passed. So that's kind of a, well, so far I don't have anybody, but apparently Mavis will be asking for us to draft a bill. God bless America.
I have one for us to consider, because we just spoke about that, a hotel tax, or however we're going to say that, on short-term rentals.
So it's my understanding that there already is legislation on hotel taxes and
Short-term rental tax.
short-term rentals are in the state of Illinois statutes. I don't know how we do that here. I could tell you that from my perspective, as you guys had brought this up, $200 for said license, to me is incredibly low, considering that the state portion of I think it's like $800 for a liquor license just for the state's portion. So I think that when you're having this larger discussion on legislative issues here in King County, that certainly ought to be something that we address. And I'll be glad to work with the development committee to maybe come up with a larger number. The cost of doing business shouldn't be free, so.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any questions for the legislative committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Roth will second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Great. Have a wonderful day.